Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Twitter. You can find me in the, excuse me. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. You can find me at News Knows Need on Twitter, though.
With Columbia down the way.
This is what I get for trying to do two things at once. And the sound effects that you heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @1agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Back home in the control seat at the controls at Mission Control in the Kingdom of Brooklyn.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed, indeed. And we are here on a Saturday night before the eclipse happens, folks. So
Before the major natural occurrence happens.
Yes, that's right. People have been equating the New York earthquake to the eclipse, the coming eclipse, and that's been
right.
Quite funny.
And just before that, we had this hellacious nor'easter where a gigantic lightning bolt hit the Statue of Liberty and lit up torch.
Yes, I saw that.
Amazing photography right there, folks. Mm-hmm. If you see that on the internets, it's an amazing shot.
Yeah. Also, it weirdly looks it's so good it looks Photoshop.
Yeah, but it's not. That's the scary part.
Yeah. So
because you can see from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
So
but yeah, it's been quite a weekend, folks, for the folks up north. Let's just say. And from what I'm hearing about the eclipse, not as many people are probably going to be able to see it as what you think because of cloud cover.
Right.
Despite being in the area of the totality, the cloud cover is probably going to might hamper some folks. But hey, people are banking on it one way.
You know what kind of cover I'm going to be in? What? Office building cover, because I will be at work.
You might be able to pop your head out if you got your glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't have any eclipse glasses, which is what you definitely need. I don't think my polarized Ray-Bans are going to be good enough to help me out, but
But hey, it is what it is. But it's been quite funny this last few days. Luckily the earthquake wasn't as bad as wasn't terribly bad, but I also know of people not being used to it, and social media lighting up all over it.
Oh my goodness!
Because of folks not getting used to that. So
of course. Yeah, not up here in the Northeast. I was sitting at my desk right here at a home base at Mission Control doing work, and found myself rattling and everything else around me rattling, and it was pretty disconcerting for a good 20 seconds.
Right, because it doesn't happen up there often. Like, we don't get them down here that often, but we do get them, and it still is enough to be like, hey, what? Oh, okay. Like I said, it doesn't. The times that it happens, it's weird, but not weird enough to say that it does happen. And I know South Carolina is on a major fault line, and I know there's one near Jersey where that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, okay. Well, is it actually telling something like people are trying to say, or is it just a friendly reminder that Mother Nature is still around,
right,
and in control.
Right.
But anyway, we are not here to talk about or to continue to talk about the eclipse and the string of things people putting together to make a thing. Like it's the end, like it's Ghostbusters or something.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Right. Matter of fact, they were talking about what is this, Ghostbusters? Talking about that lightning strike. That in itself was funny enough. But we are here to talk about comic books. But before we actually get into some actual comic books, we are going to talk about, while I actually plunk out the the tweet. We are going to talk about this week's animated and live action stuff. Or there is a live action stuff. This is animated stuff. We're going to start off with Bad Batch episodes 10 and 11, named Identity Crisis and Point of No Return.
Oh, thanks for having that up. I literally was in the process of pulling that up just now.
Yeah.
So the first episode, Identity Crisis, centers on another clone, but not a member of the Bad Batch.
Not yet.
Right? That being Emery. And that is she is the crux. She's the center of the episode. And there, the title is very apt. And with that, I will hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to say. Looks at granted. Matter of fact, before we go any further, hit the spoiler bell.
Oh, spoiler bell! It is.
There we go. So yeah, we're not gonna get too spoiled, but since we're recording on a Saturday and the show's been out a couple of days, we can, maybe there might be one or two things that might hit spoiler territory. But yeah, so yeah, the Emery, if for folks don't know, is another clone, not unlike Omega and the Bad Batch. And she is in the employ of Dr. Hemlock. And she's finding out with a new position that she got this week. She is finding out a whole lot more than what she did prior to this. And they say sometimes you don't get attached to your work, or at least that was said in the episode. Don't get attached to the folks you work with, or whatnot,
or your subjects.
Yes, or the specimens as they call them.
Specimens. Yeah,
but,
oof.
But you can kind of see the wheels going for which you can kind of see was already happening with her interaction with Omega when Omega was captured. So it was just a matter of time before something else, really strikes her. And this seems to be what's going on here. But we find her getting the new position as the head scientist and whatnot, and finding out what's really going on with Project Necromancer, and what she's going to do about it, we don't know yet. But what we do find out is that at the end of the episode, what we suspected was going to be the case, given that we were kind of let known last episode, much less during the whole season, is coming to be true, which leads us into the next episode.
Right. So interestingly, in Point of No Return, the way I put it to Roddykat, when it came down to like a one sentence overview and summation of this episode, is everything goes to hell in a handbasket for the Batch.
Pretty much.
And it's one of those episodes that, especially when it comes to like long form storytelling, the bad guys basically almost triumph. And this is one of those times. This is absolutely one of those times where the bad guys push our heroes into a very, very small corner. I'm speaking in the biggest generalities and keeping it super vague. But if you've been keeping up with this show, you know that the Batch have been on the run, and they've been staying basically off the radar of the Empire, but something is able to breach their particular their layers of privacy and secrecy. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
So here's the funny part about that. Yes and no. Like, okay, it's almost like a security through obscurity thing. Like, yeah, they were kind of out in the outskirts and didn't know anything about it. But as we found out last episode, not last episode, but episode 9, somebody could find them. So clearly they weren't that, wasn't that hard to find.
Right.
So, and that person being Asajj Ventress, who, granted, despite who shows up during the episode 10, that probably could also be capable of tracking them down, which we did not mention. But Asajj told him, like, hey, you're not as safe as you think you are, and y'all might want to roll, which actually did set them up for what they were trying to do and getting out of Dodge. But apparently, yeah, as Agent 70 said, things kind of didn't, that didn't happen. And we find at least one of them back in the situation they had, they are now back in since the beginning of the season.
Right.
But possibly with a slight twist. Because something happens in that, which I won't give away, but something happens in that, and a plan was put in place that seemingly doesn't go the way that it was drawn up, but probably did in a way that we were led to not see. Although you can kind of see it.
Right.
So that being said, like that kind of leads us into the last 4 episodes or whatever, because it's only, I think it's only 15 episodes.
Last 4.
So
right. Well, I guess we're in the beginning of the last arc.
Right.
Of the story. So the last 4 episodes. It was an interesting thing. Roddykat actually mentioned it to me. He messaged me that there were 2 episodes out this week to give myself extra time, and because of our rescheduled recording, gave me plenty of time to sit down and watch it. So thankfully,
yeah,
life happens, folks. Life happens.
Yeah, which you would have seen once you did sit down and keep it out. So you were going to get to it eventually. But I know also you were busy. So sometimes in that case, you're just like, yeah, it's better to go in knowing ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Than be like, oh, oops, I got caught.
Like, I don't have time to watch this.
Right.
Which is what happens often with Invincible, which is what we're going to get into next.
Nice segue.
Yeah. If we're going to move along, when we get to Invincible, one of the things that we always remark when we get to one of the things that's always kind of noticeable, we don't make remarks on it, but we definitely notice that Invincible episodes are on the longer side. And would this show benefit from maybe working in that realm of like 25 minutes to 30 minutes? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if I'm such a big fan of these like 45-minute episodes, 50-minute episodes.
Honestly, I am. Because if you think about it, you and I being of a certain vintage who have come up under the TV structure and things being that way, and being under most animated series is being under 22 minutes in length, and daily / weekly, whichever the case may be, it's a different thing, like, because Invincible, the way it is, can kind of tell the story it needs to,
right? Or
I should say, maybe not needs to, but wants to, and you have the space to do it. Like I said last week when we were talking about X-Men 97, like, would the opposite be beneficial to it? Would it benefit from being 30, 45 minutes? They could get more out of it, especially with the fact that they only have 10 episodes. Like, yes, they could very much do a little bit more than what they have been doing, or they could do as much as they used to be able to do with the limited amount of space episodes that they have now. But it would still be weird to see because of what
my understanding is that this is the last episode of the season.
That is correct.
Right, episode 8. The title of this episode is "I Thought You Were Stronger," and I don't recall, but I believe that all of the titles of the episodes of this season are all uttered in the dialogue in each episode, and we definitely do hear "I Thought You Were Stronger" said by Mark Grayson in this episode. Broad strokes, folks. Yeah.
Broad strokes on one side.
Right. I was going to say broad strokes. We do have some resolution when it comes to some character arcs, namely the Angstrom Levy arc. It does lead into some more Mark Grayson stuff coming out of it. And we also have some setup when it comes to Omni-Man's and Alan's arcs as well. So,
which I believe also comes from the books.
Right, that's left for the next installment of Invincible. That's just me speaking in broad strokes. Some people may not have gotten to this yet. Yes, it's been a day or 2 days since this episode came out, but it's on the longer side. I know sometimes it's not easy to sit and watch the whole thing, so that's why I decided to go very much broad stroke fashion. I'll hand it to Roddykat for his thoughts.
But the only other thing I'm going to add is that we got something that we also got the revelation of something that was speculated by some folks out there that would probably happen in season 3, but instead at the end of this, we got the revelation from another side character that obviously those of us who haven't read the comic books would not have known that what happened to them, it was going to be the end of it or not, put it that way. Yeah, without giving too much away, but yeah, so the revelation that happens at the end of this was something like, okay, I've seen people speculating about it, but I didn't know that was actually going to be a thing, whether now or next season or ever, because like I said, I've read the books, so it was
right.
Kind of took me by surprise.
At the end of the day, I'm still kind of wondering what Roddykat is speaking of, but then maybe I just need to go back to the episode.
Yeah, it's what happened near the end of the episode with a couple of characters and a revelation therein. That's all I'll say.
Got it.
So, because like I said, I can say one other thing.
He'll tell me afterwards because I completely forgot. So he'll tell me after the show.
That's fine. But yeah, it was like I said, it was a good episode. End of the season. For what it is, like. Again, this is another thing to where like Amazon has got money. This could have more episodes, despite even if it does have more time given to the episodes, they could give it a couple of more episodes. But for whatever reason, and as they said the last time, hey, animation's hard. I get it. It takes time, so I totally get it. But you know what? Hey, you're already taking the time. You can throw a couple more episodes in there.
Right.
So, you're making us pay for it and sit through ads, which we shouldn't have. So that's that. But anyway, the last show that we're going to talk about before we go into books was actually probably the first show both Agent 7 and I probably separately watched. And that is X-Men 97 season 1 episode for Motendo / Lifedeath Part 1.
Yeah, whatever you want from me. So I was mildly surprised that this episode was split into 2. They really could have done an entire Lifedeath episode. They really should have, in my opinion.
They might, if the listing is to be believed, but I'm not sure about that. I have to look at it again.
Oh, you mean the next episode?
Yeah, because obviously there's going to be a part 2, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be a whole episode by itself.
It's almost like they're kind of breaking it up the way they did in the comics.
Right.
Because there is a Lifedeath 1 and a Lifedeath 2.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of that first part of the episode, I'll ring the spoiler bell because, you kind of can't help but spoil a few elements of these stories. So here we go. Spoiler bell in 3, 2, 1. So the first part of the episode is titled Motendo, and it is a play on Nintendo, but with a very X-Men villain spin. And if you use Mo in anything, I guess they did not want to give away that it was that there's another syllable missing that would have given it away. Right. Making it Motendo, you're like, oh, I wonder who that is. But if they had made it the full, yeah, that's a giveaway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a fun highlight episode that spotlighted, it highlighted 2 characters, basically our point of view characters, the younger characters who are the former young character and the newer young character, namely Jubilee and now Roberto da Costa, aka Sunspot. Interestingly, they still have not had Sunspot do his full body transformation. Don't know why. It's just an arm right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, seriously, if you're gonna animate everything else, well, you can't just make him, like a sunspotty, full powered, figure.
Yeah, but you know why they're doing that because of the fact that he's still kind of coming to grips with the fact that whether he wants to be a mutant or not. So he's kind of reluctant to even use his powers. That was that whole thing.
Right. So but I think the best parts of this episode were the sight gags and Easter eggs that were very much video game related, like console game and arcade game related. Mm-hmm. If you were an 80s and 90s kid, forget it. You saw a game, it was like Turtles in Time.
Yes. Actually, yeah,
and obviously the X-Men game,
right? Which was the more direct reference. With not this. I mean, that's not really a spoiler because that was in the trailer because they did play a little bit of it in the trailer. So, but yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, I took notes because I was like, wow, they really were throwing in references and some of them have been put out there already. So, and some of them was in this trailer, but I won't go too far from what was pretty much in the trailer. Like, you got you saw the console, which I don't know why it had to be. I know why they did it, but like, that could have been any.
It was a Genesis, right?
Yeah, it was a Sega Genesis. I was like, why it had to be Genesis though? It could have been the Super Nintendo. Like they were kind of already going that route. So but being a Genesis kid, I feel some kind of felt the kind of way about that. There was a Matrix reference, which that one might not have been in the thing, but it was totally
the Matrix reference. What was the Matrix reference?
Telephone booth.
Oh, that's it. I do remember that. That's right. I did notice that. I said that out loud or thought that to myself. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. But outside of that, like I said, don't go. So in a couple of these, I'll talk to Agent 7 about it because, like I said, I did take note because I noticed a couple of things was like that can't be a reference to who or what I think it is. But yeah, definitely. Oh, there was a different world bit reference also. So as someone noted on Twitter, it was like, somebody black wrote this episode because of that. But yeah, it was a lot of
wait, did they make a Hillman reference?
No. But it was like if you see a certain not poster. Yeah, it might be a poster. A poster for a different world. It kind of evokes that.
Understood.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, like I said, that's out there. I had to show it to you after the thing. But yeah, like I said, there was references galore. But we also, and spoiler not spoiler, we also got the a new / old character that shows up during the course of this, voiced by an old familiar voice actor to the series.
We won't spoil it, but I was very much disappointed that it was not Longshot.
You know what? At first I thought that too before they said a certain thing, and I was like, oh wait, so that can't be that. But then they referenced somebody else, and I was like, well, okay, that could be her, and that would make sense if it was her, or them, or even them. But no, okay, like who it ended up being, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then they found a way to bring the character in, or to bring that actress in. So
I'll be honest, I was like, oh man, I really need to get that Spiral Marvel Legend now.
So right. So the funny thing about that was, I was like, was that intentional? Was there an intentional reference to Spiral from the last episode? Or was that just coincidental? Because you remember Morph in the last episode shifted into Spiral?
Right. Listen, Morph is just there to make me angry.
I mean,
because they can't use all the other characters, like we saw Psylocke,
He's the Deadpool. Yeah, he's the Deadpool, or wannabe Deadpool of the group also. So on that, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see him shifting into somebody else, and it's like, wow, why is that character not actually here?
Yeah. Well, that's all I'm saying. It's like he's literally there just to make me angry.
Right. Yeah, I get it. But overall, that part of the episode was quite fun. And we get into the next part, which was Lifedeath Part 1, which, if you know enough about the comic run, this is Forge and Aurora centric.
Right.
And so I guess that's the question I have about it, is like, are they actually leading up to the event that story arc actually led into in the comics?
Possibly.
And I can't confirm Lifedeath Part 2 looks like it's going to be its own episode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about that is if they do fold in, and what's funny is that we've gotten some news, I think you probably have in the news section, that producers and creators on X-Men 97 have already said that later seasons are already being worked on.
Yes.
Right. So apparently the story is not going to end with the last, was it like they only got 8 episodes this time, or 10?
Like 10.
10, right? So they got 10 episodes this go around. But obviously they're not done telling their X-Men story. They're going to get to that certain point where, what is it, the Morrison run?
That's what they said. Yeah, when we talked about it last week. Yeah.
Right. So they're going to get to approximately the Morrison run on X-Men. So they've got, quite a bit of story to fold in and adapt. So there's plenty out there, and they're not known for going in order. Like, they're definitely not going in order. It's kind of wild. You're just seeing things kind of like jumbled around. You're like, oh, we didn't. I don't think in the original. I'm not sure if they did. I don't think they did. If they ever did Fall of the Mutants.
Well, that's
X-Men,
what I was kind of mentioning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they covered that in the first run of the animated series.
And for what we got from Inferno was just kind of like, here we go, pew.
Right. So it's interesting that they bypassed most of the effects of Inferno, but they may very well do a full adaptation of Fall of the Mutants.
Maybe. I don't know. The way they've been kind of going through these episodes at kind of at the speed they're going through, I'm doubtful of it, but it could happen.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird, like, and yeah, you're right, because they do kind of cherry pick. Well, this is that, and there with everything, just like the MCU, with everything they have put in place.
Right.
They can only do but so much with it. But apparently they have kind of rearranged some things, because even what happened at the end of the last episode didn't happen. Well, it didn't happen exactly the way that it happened in the story, but it did happen. So, shout out to Von Gloom who popped up in the chat saying X-Men 97 is going to get weird when they hit the Morrison run. Like, yeah, from what I hear about that run, yeah. Says
black leather, baby.
I did see an article about a potential I don't know if it's set in stone, but a potential costume change or suit suit change could be in the future for them in the next season.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So but I don't know if that was like an actual truth or just some speculation to that. Based on what we know about this stuff. Wonder if they will introduce the Michael Jackson lookalike mutant. Who is that? Von Gloom.
No, that's Demon Slayer.
Yes, no. Yes. Which, hey, coming soon. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
That's funny.
But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting at the pace they're going with, and the pieces they have in place, with what they're going to do with this show, with what they got right now, and whatever, are they going to have the same amount of episodes next season, or are they going to give them a little bit more, They had a mutant doing Morrison's run that looked like Jacko. Huh, okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I wouldn't know much about that run, so you got me on that one. That being said, the case, hey,
props to you. Seriously, props to you, Uncle Gloom, for remembering that.
Right, because there's a lot of stuff.
I'm pulling up the, we always joke about how Marvel Unlimited is one of our greatest tools, because if it wasn't for that, I would be going down to my back issues to figure out who Mongoon's referring to.
And I'm also kind of upset with this, not an ad for them, but also on the side note, kind of upset with Marvel Unlimited because they've been sending notifications like, "Hey, read Gang War." I'm like, "No, thank you, I already did that." I'm good. Like, "Hey, read this for points." I'm like, "No, I'm good."
You're fortunate to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
This is true. I mean, I agree. But I'm just saying, even if that was the case, I'm like, I feel like even if that wasn't the case, I read enough to be like, you know what? No, I think I'm good. But
right,
yeah. But having access is is a perk. I'm not complaining. But
seriously.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so that's
97, right?
Yes, that is pretty much that. Like I said, it's even though it's been a couple of days since we're recording this on the Saturday, so it's been a few days. We still don't want to just go full spoiler, but believe me, I had notes, and I would have. Was Gang War good? It had good parts. It had good moments in it. It got from here to there, and overall it was all right. For my benefit, I don't know how Agent 7 feel about it. Like, did we need some things in it? Maybe not, but like I said, it had some good moments.
I'm glad it's over, but
yeah. I mean, put it this way, Gang War is probably better than that last bit that Zeb Wells kind of had his own, where we were just actively growing about it being whether it was how long it was going to take to be over or not. So
right.
It didn't. So Gang War didn't actually overstay as welcome as much, even though you say what you want about some of the side stuff, than that last stuff did. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of not even the last stuff. That's a poor segue. Agent 70 is actually going to talk a little bit about Godzilla X Kong New Empire.
Right. Very quickly, I watched this movie in the theater, believe it or not. It was it was an invitation thing. I went to go see it with some family, and it was a silly, fun time. I obviously checked my brain at the door. I chose not to get too picky about what I was going to critique about it. There were definitely some silly aspects that, had I been in a different mindset, I think I might have dwelled on a lot longer and a lot, and dwelled a lot more deeply on, and stayed, kind of locked into that mode of thinking. But I checked my mind at the door, and I just kind of sat back and watched and had some fun. I had a lot of fun. I'm constantly poking fun at Kong because he sucks. He's a buster. And Godzilla is there to, clean up his messes. That's my point of view. That's my take on things. I will say, though, that the Legendary people are doing a very good job of selling Kong and Gia, the little human female, who is, his like familiar, basically. And
that's a little deaf girl, right?
Again?
That's a little deaf girl, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And they delve into her story more. They create much more of depth of character for both Kong and Gia. And delve into background and create a bigger tapestry for the two of them and for future storytelling for them. Godzilla is just a bit player in this movie, to be perfectly honest. He's there to kind of move some things along. We do get a somewhat surprise appearance by another kaiju, but if you are attentive to movie posters, that's not a big surprise because apparently there is a reflection of this kaiju in the eyes of one of the other kaiju. And you know what's funny is that they don't use the word kaiju because they have to use the word Titan, because apparently the Pacific Rim people got the jump on using the word kaiju, so they use Titan. So there's a Titan that you see,
right? But it's not. But it's not like copywritten from. They didn't copyright it, did they?
I don't believe so, but I think that's why they don't use it.
That makes sense, but it does make sense, but it doesn't. But I get it.
Right.
Okay. Overall,
so that's it. Listen, it was fun. Check your brain at the door when you're watching.
good popcorn movie, but don't,
Yeah.
It's wait, okay, here I guess the second question I would have is I'm going to ask you after it, but are we talking Fast and Furious levels?
Yes, we're getting there.
Okay. Figured.
Getting there. We're definitely getting there. That is an excellent, and you're not the only person to make the observation. I heard that in the theater.
Yeah.
I want to say I heard that a couple times in the theater.
It just kind of seems like it was going that way. Like I have not having seen it yet, so I wouldn't be surprised. So okay. And, Von Gloom says something in the chat that I probably won't repeat just in case somebody's not going to be bored about it. But I don't honestly care.
Right.
Because I'll see it when I see it. That's right, family. All right, folks. Now we're going to get into the comic books of the week, starting off with The Good Doctor Strange number 14. Not The Good Doctor Strange, but
Doctor Strange number 14 is written by Jed MacKay with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Heather Moore, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So we are continuing on our role-playing game theme here, folks, and we are neck deep in it. Absolutely neck deep in it. So the reveal that we got at the end of last issue leads directly into the events of this issue. Furthermore, while we do get a resolution to this role-playing game story in this issue, we continue to see the development of the direct development of a continuing subplot that has been ongoing in this book for several issues now that involves bats and a couple of snakes and a part of the Sanctum Sanctorum that is basically not for outsiders to see. Put it that way. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
Von Gloom says Ferry is definitely one of the OG artists. Pascal Ferry is
yeah, no,
good.
Pascal Ferry is definitely killing it right now on Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So yeah, I say this is what I said in my notes to start off. The start of this issue is when you find out the DM is the bigger villain than the campaign they devised.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I'm sure actual Dungeons, or actual role playing, TTRPG players can feel that. Can feel that way much. So, but yeah. So as they just said, we do kind of get we do get the end of this because this was only set to be a 2-part story anyway. It's kind of funny to where Ed MacKay using his toys, but using them in the way that you kind of expect them to. You kind of get you lose sight of one character for the majority of this issue because, well, of course that that character is pretty much doing what they do, and sure enough, at the end of this, because you kind of can see it coming, it's like if you're paying attention, it's like, well, wait, so they're focusing on these two characters now, and there is somebody else in the party, and Doctor Strange is off doing something else. So, and poof, there you go. The person comes back up.
Right. With the perfect meta commentary.
Mm-hmm.
With the absolutely perfect meta commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I groaned, but I understood that commentary to be very true.
Mm-hmm. So it was a good, fun story. Also funny that Taskmaster gets caught up on the goings on Moon Knight, which is another Jed MacKay written book. So, and he has thoughts about that, which was kind of funny.
Oh, thank God!
Right. But yeah, like I said, this was a fun little 2-part. I'm trying to remember. I know Jed MacKay did write the Magic the Gathering ongoing book. Matter of fact, actually, it's no longer an ongoing book, but when it was, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, and that was a pretty fun book. I need to go back to it and see if that's actually true, because I think it is though, because I know I was reading it. But so it kind of makes sense that not necessarily some of that comes into this, but his utilization of D&D during the course of this story has been pretty good. So, and now we're going back into, well, I was about to say, now we're going back into the other story, but no, we're taking a pit stop into Blood Hunt next, because that is what we find out at the end of this issue, which is also his baby. So, hey, buckle up for that, folks, because we're getting a couple of months of that.
So I will tell you that this is one of those times, and here's a rant incoming, folks. So full warning, rant incoming, shots about to be fired, right? But again, I said this when the movie came out. This is why this iteration, this version, this way of characterizing Tony Masters, the Taskmaster, is why I do not like the Black Widow including a version of Taskmaster in the MCU the way they did, because it's just a complete waste of that character if that's the only way we get Taskmaster in the MCU. Because think of all the comic relief you would get from a character who's in it for the money, but still able to hold their own against these, like, you know, mostly super capable, super powered people in the MCU. You know, think about that. Someone who could have that angle to it, right? That not exactly low level baddie, not exactly low level merc, more like the highest level merc possible. And the way McKay plays with the character here, and, you know, and like takes, like, you know, shots at him, like, you know, there's always shots coming from Doctor Strange when he's talking about Taskmaster, my friends, and Taskmaster.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but no, that's just me. That's my rant. That's why I did not appreciate there's still room for this version of Taskmaster in the MCU. There is.
That's what
they
I
can
was
absolutely
say.
come out and say, right? They can come out and say, this guy's code name is Taskmaster. Here are his powers. He's a gun for hire, right?
Or they could do that with her. I mean, realistically, you know, they keep her and just kind of add his personality.
Personality?
Sure. Well, I'm not saying whether she can pull it off or not. That's a whole other thing, because we didn't get enough to know whether that's would ever.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird, right? I mean, they could develop it. They could develop it, but the way, you know, they developed Tony Masters, especially in recent years, you know, where he's just like, you know, scum, you know, highest bidder guy. So
now, that being said, about your rant, though, some would argue, and I'm not sure you can agree or disagree. Some would say Yelena probably kind of feels like, yeah, she's not Taskmaster per se in you know, power set, but some would say, as far as personality wise, she kind of, and being able to hold her own, would already be that in the MCU as she is. So I don't know.
White Widow?
Huh? Yeah.
As White Widow?
Yeah. I mean, she's kind of got some of that there. Like I said, she doesn't have his, you know, his full move.
I disagree simply because she's going to be her own character.
I know that. Yes, agreed.
The White Widow, right? And the White Widow's obviously been kind of messed around with in the 616 also. So not you don't necessarily have to stick to what is written in the comics to interpret that character and kind of develop that character. But you know, I disagree on that part. I just think that the Tony Masters character would be such a great kind of fun character to play with as like a low-level bad guy, kind of like a higher level Batroc. You know, like in, you know, we were just talking about like rewatching Winter Soldier, right? He would be like a higher level Batroc because he would actually have like some cool lines about like setting up, like training goons at his school. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but in any event, you know, that's enough Taskmasters. Anything else we want to talk about this Doctor Strange issue?
Well, I was going to go back to the Yelena thing. It was like there's the only reason why I mentioned this because I guess if they had done this movie that movie a little bit sooner, you know, a couple of things would have been different, obviously, and the way they set up Yelena in the MCU and kind of how they're written her in that last book that she's got right now, kind of feels like they could be setting her up to do just that, what you were saying. So not necessarily being beholden to
like training the bad guys and being like a bad guy, you know, for hire. Less
a bad guy, but assassin, I guess. Which I guess.
Yeah, but that's what differentiates her. That's why I don't agree with the premise.
Sure.
So
okay, yeah, fair. But
I'm
just saying.
I would say that this issue is a potential click of the week for me because I had a lot of fun reading it, and Agreed. I liked where McKay was developing things.
Agreed. That being said, was there anything else we were going to say about that? No, we talked about everything. We'll move on Skip it to the next book that we're going to talk about. We'll keep it on the Jed McKay train with Avengers number 12.
Avengers number 12 is written by Jed McKay with art by Francesco Mortarino, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. My entries here are rife with typos because I have a sore thumb from volleyball. So, this issue sees the Avengers enter the fight against Orcus. Finally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is probably saying, finally, it's about time the Avengers got off their butts and jumped in the fight against Orcus. And McKay has done his level best to write into the story the reasons why the Avengers have been on the sideline. And it's obviously been part of the ongoing story where Iron Man has basically been the point of contact and basically saying to the Avengers, hold off. I'm working with the X-Men to deal with this. Hold off, right? Because, of course, Iron Man is in the Jerry Duggan corner of the Marvel Universe, and Jerry Duggan is also writing X-Men stuff. So we get to this issue, and we see the X-Men going at Orcus, systematically taking apart Orcus's operations. But for the very first time in who knows how long, we see an Avengers character that was originally introduced during the Kurt Busiek run.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that he had seen an ignominious end to his Avengers tenure in the Initiative during Civil War.
Yep, I kind of remember it too.
I did not read. I didn't read a lot of those Initiative books.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised to see that and to see this character come back. Talk about McKay diving into the doing his deep pulls there.
Mm-hmm. I say him and Al Ewing, they'll do it.
Yeah. And we also see the first time that Captain Marvel's current situation is touched upon. The current situation that Alyssa Wong has put her in I think it's Alyssa Wong that's writing the current Captain Marvel book. That has and it emerges here surprisingly for the first time in an Avengers book.
Right. Which, which happens every now and then because, sometimes as we know, books kind of go along at a certain pace until it catches up until things kind of catch up at a certain point. And in this case, it's the Avengers with Fall of the House of X, which, by the way, there is a footnote at the beginning of on the title page that says that this takes place during Fall of the House of X1.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a thing that's worth noting. But it's also pretty cool because, like, hey, if you're not keeping up for some reason with that stuff, there's a good catch up. The first couple of pages, as Agent 70 said, about why they're out of it and kind of catching folks up to from there to now after the last couple of issues of Avengers when they were off doing other things. So that with the Captain Marvel thing is kind of it's a good service of kind of catching the reader up on the side stuff that they're that's coming into play now. So that's good stuff. But yeah, that character, that was like, I was like, ugh, not this again. But also there was a funny moment where T'Challa and the group that of Avengers that he was with was called by a particular name that he wasn't too crazy about. I got a kick out of that. Like,
please don't call that.
Right, don't call us that. So, which was kind of funny. So this is a potential click of the week for me, because for the things that happened to it. Now, coming out of this issue, how long are they going to be on this side of the count? Well, probably until the end of Fall of X, probably. Or actually, I'm not sure. Not to think about it, because this and probably the next episode or next issue might just be their part of that. Because we have had stuff that's been on the side of the X stuff, like Spider-Man, that are now showing themselves to kind of be in the mix at the end of things in the X corner. So get a couple of issues of that, and then everything else kind of goes back to, or excuse me, everything that goes into Blood Hunt is going to go into Blood Hunt.
That's what I was going to say, because I think there's whatever the cycle that they're on, you're going to see, just like we just remarked with the end of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange's about to jump right into Blood Hunt, but seems like the Avengers are still interacting with the X corner in the course of their issues. So we'll probably see them wrap up their Fall of X stuff first, and then jump into Blood Hunt.
Right. Again, also Jed McKay, so it's definitely going to get there some kind of way. Right. That being said, the next book that we're going to talk about is X-Men number 33.
X-Men number 33 is written by Jerry Duggan, with art by Joshua Cassara, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. We are rapidly hurtling towards the end game. I say that fully knowing that Endgame has a particular cachet with most of our listeners and viewers here. As I'm literally flipping to this issue, because I know that there are some really great moments in this issue. I actually had a good time reading this. This is actually potential Kliq of the Week material for myself, because we get to see a lot of great character moments, even from someone who I don't think I've seen in ages. And again, it makes me kind of regret not getting this Wolverine multi-pack of Marvel Legends that has this character in it. That character is namely Callisto. And, we get to see Callisto make an appearance in this book. And we also get to see, unfortunately, some characters who come and save the day, in a sense, because someone had a bright idea.
We knew
made a long distance-ish phone call. Right? You knew they were coming back at some point. And, to see them come back that way and have somebody say the blank of blank.
Right.
I was like, what?
Oh, not only that.
Right. I enjoyed this, but that almost takes it out of Kliq of the Week territory for me with that one.
Not only that, but there was another mutant-centric reference that was made by someone that actually kind of funny, that going back to Avengers, like basically was like, no, we don't call him that. No one's called him that. In reference to that same group, which was kind of funny.
Yeah. So that was that was pretty amusing. I will also say there is one callback to Dark Phoenix Saga stuff, right? With Wolverine in the sewers, and I got a kick out of that. That was a great sequence.
Yep. And speaking of, I guess speaking of Von Gloom, you can pretty much guess at who we're talking about with this other set of mutants that comes into play, and and the quote unquote leaders' reasoning for bringing them into play after receiving this long distance phone call, which of course has to do with his longtime rival / nemesis. So I was like, that's the reason why you brought him in, because that, because they were playing with some other stuff.
His meager accomplishment.
Right.
God.
Also with what that the character calls him, I'm like, wait, I know that's not the case, but I'm like, I don't. That's
what I'm saying. The blank of blank.
Right, that too, but no, but when the character gets called a mutate.
Oh.
I know that's not actually a thing. I was like, where did you get that from?
It is and it isn't.
Right.
Because, we've heard that the characters who were granted their powers, and I'm hearing myself echo, so just forgive me. The characters who are granted powers by radiation, right, are called mutates by some.
Right, because children of
Adam. Right, because of some like some of the sciencey people in the Marvel universe call, the FF, Spider-Man, actual mutates, but not mutants, because they receive their powers through something radioactive.
Right. But usually, obviously, I don't know about for you, but mutate is a kind of a specific term for a specific area of the X corner.
Right.
So normally, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I got it, but it was like, that was still weird to see.
No, I mean, but it's been a long-standing thing where, like, depends on the writer, depends on how they choose to define it.
Right. But, we also see some, we see a character being referenced in the fact that they're going to come back to take care of them. Presumably, if not before the end of the fall of the fall of the Krakoan era ends, then I assume either by the end, or maybe they're setting this up as a new villain going into the next, X-Men era from what's the thing. But yeah, this episode, this issue was cool. Like I said, there was a weird reference that I got in my head that probably doesn't apply from the first page, because we get Sebastian Shaw comes in talking about there's a war raging outside, and all I can think of is there's a war going on outside, no man is safe from. Shout out to Mobb Deep.
Right.
When he was talking to his son, whom I don't think I've seen in a minute, but but that also sets up where that what thing that happens in here that with that character, and some old X villains kind of come into play in relation to that. So yeah, there's some things happening to Zeus, but all of that is in service of kind of taking care of that part and going on to the bigger bad thing that's going on, coming out of the fall of X and one Scott Summers is dealing with at the end of this issue. So good stuff. Like I said, I don't know what they're going to do about that. I'm kind of curious about that one setup that they tease in here. But outside of that, hey, continuing to enjoying it, and Emma being the voice on the radio, the Resistance radio, it's been pretty cool through all of this. Also, or yeah, within the last couple of issues and subsequent other books around that, it's been kind of funny, because who else is going to be able to do it? Because Charles has got his own thing going on. So, but yeah, good stuff. X-Men 33. And I believe that, folks. Oh no, sorry, we do have one more book we're going to talk about in common, which is kind of sad. Sensational She-Hulk #7.
So Sensational She-Hulk #7 is written by Rainbow Rowell, with art by Ig Guara, colors by D. Cuniff, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So it's kind of sad, and it's kind of not. It's kind of interesting that Rainbow Rowell would bring in this character who was very much unfamiliar to myself, but familiar to Roddykat. I remember when this character appeared at the end of last issue, he knew exactly who she was and what kind of role she has played in the Marvel Universe. She was very much a stranger to myself. I would have needed to consult my Ohatmu to see that person, and I think that person's in there. Bottom line, though, is that it throws a wrench into the ongoing relationship saga between Jack of Hearts and She-Hulk. And there's a very interesting twist to that wrench that is being thrown into the relationship in this issue. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of amusing how this issue played out. It was like, okay, yeah, it starts out kind of sad, and because of the revelation that Jen finds out about Jack and Ganymede, and that kind of just turns into, hey, guess what? There's this previous adversary kind of comes back into play and further throws things into disarray because of a new hire that they happen to also come across, and fate not letting Jennifer leave when she wanted to. So, but all in service of setting things up. So it was a pretty good issue, I thought, for all of that. And just like weird kind of soap opera-ish thing going on at the beginning of this, going into what we are going into the next issue about, which is probably going to be a little bit more action scenes by what seems to happen, unless that ends up being a swerve. We shall see though. But yeah, good stuff. And with that, I guess we can go into rapid fire.
All righty, here we go. Rapid fire review time, folks.
Ain't got time to breathe.
First up for me is Captain America #8. It's written by J. Michael Straczynski with art by Carlos Magno, colors by Espen Grundetjern, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This is part 2 of a 2-part story that is definitely very weird, but sets up the upcoming arc. This, as I've kind of said during this entire Captain America run that Straczynski's been doing, continues the supernatural infusion of story that he's put in. And it's cool, but it's still weird to see Cap running around doing supernatural stuff with the aid of supernatural artifacts and with the aid of someone who is a magic user, right? And I get it. It does tie into Cap's character and his backstory. That has been the theme here since this run started, and it continues. And now we're starting to see how this is going to weave into the next arc. And it was fun. I liked it. Magno's art is kind, some parts of it are wonky, some parts of it are good. I still feel like there needs to be someone in the art department that kind of just kind of shakes him up a little bit and say, look, this part's a little too wonky, but I guess they're letting his style, be a style. At the end of the day, though, this is very much an interesting read. If you're a Cap fan, I definitely recommend this. Just be prepared to be reading this in kind of a odd, maybe even an uncomfortable place because of the infusion of the supernatural. Next up is Immortal Thor #9, written by Al Ewing with art by Ibrahim Roberson, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. As always, Immortal Thor is a Click of the Week candidate for me because the writing is so good. Al Ewing is killing it on this book. The art is absolutely stellar. Ibrahim Roberson does a great job on this book. I can't say that enough. I don't think I've been saying it enough. He's been doing, I think, the most recent issues. I don't recall if he's done all the issues. I do not think there is a regular art team on this book, but I know that he's done quite a few recently. It's solid work. I will say that in this issue, the trap, as it were, has been sprung on Thor. Right? We've seen in the background things happening with Dario Agger, the Enchantress, and the resurrected Scourge, the Executioner. Now we're starting to see it come to fruition. And what had been teased in the solicitations, what we've talked about in the news, is about to come to pass. That one issue, one shot, with Greg Land doing a version of corporate Thor, is about to come to pass in 2 weeks. And that is where this issue actually ends off. So if you read this, you may find yourself thinking you may have to read that awful Greg Land drawn book. But it is Al Ewing writing it, so I may, bite the bullet and, sacrifice my sanity for a little while.
The hate is strong.
And that's it for me. What's that?
I said the hate is strong with this one.
That's right. That's right. And that's it for me.
All right, folks. As we look at Nick Bradshaw's Connect covers for that Immortal Thor, it brings us to back to the King of Kaiju in a way with Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2, number 1 of, I think, 5. I'm not sure, but we're going with that until I find out one way or the other. This is written by one Cullen Bunn, with art by Baldemar Rivas, excuse me, colors by Andrew Dahlhaus, and letters by Johanna Natalie. So yeah, if you checked out the first crossover with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Godzilla, this is a continuation of that. Duh. And there's a whole multiversal thing kind of going through here, in the form of one White Ranger who somehow got a piece of the magic rock that Rita was using to cause some multiversal chaos in the last crossover, and is basically trying to get away and try to find some Rangers, you know, to help him along. And he finds the Rangers that are kind of familiar with the situation, but also Godzilla's there, who kind of rolls in, wreaks havoc for a little bit. But not to be outdone, apparently Riva has come across a an ally of them. If you are familiar with later Power Rangers shows, from the bad person from In Space shows up in this. And there's another kaiju that comes up at the end that has been rangerized in a way. So that is an amusing in itself. Shout out to MF Doom also. Take me to your leader. That is that for that. Next up is Birds of Prey number 8. This is a potential click of the week for me because it was fun. Written by Kelly Thompson, art by Javier Pina and David Lopez, with colors by Jody Belair and letters by Clayton Cowles. So the Birds of Prey are basically helping out Vixen with a problem that she had been having, but also they want her to help them with the problem that they've been kind of dealing with that surrounds one Barbara Gordon. But first things first, the side mission kind of has them undercover at Vixen's fashion show, and trying to suss out what's going on with someone trying to basically ruin or mess with the lives of former Birds of Prey. Of course, it doesn't go long before a fight breaks out, and Barda bears all. And unfortunately, the aforementioned Barbara Gordon kind of gets into a predicament that they were trying to avoid all this time. And I would say there's some good splash pages in this book also going along with it, a couple of which you may see in CB Caps somewhat soon. Good stuff. Barter rules all. Next up is Superman 78. The Metal Curtain number 6 of 6, written by Robert Venditti, art by Gavin Goodry, colors by Jody Belair, and letters by Dave Lanphier. So this is the last episode of this. Basically, Supes versus Metallo in Russia, the Soviet Union, because this is placed at a time where Russia was called the Soviet Union. It kind of ends in the most Superman way. It does. Like I said, this is the world of 78 Superman, as the name implies, which is the Christopher Reeve era. So, but just kind of bringing in villains of his during that time. Supes gets the hearts and minds vote, and it kind of ends in a way that's like, yep, sure, that makes some sort of sense, I guess, but not actually realistic. So, but nice to see, even if on the comic books, in the comic books, I guess. Next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventure, April special one shot, or number 1, if you want to call it that. Story by Eric Burnham, art by Sarah Meyer and Jack Lawrence, with letters by Ed Dukeshire and colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. So this is taking place around the same time as the current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures Continue the book, with the whole cross-dimensional thing that's been going on. There's been dimensional mishaps happening in the world that the Turtles kind of been dealing with, and they're starting to die down, but not before April kind of gets swept up into one and has an adventure of the Indiana Jones kind with a character that I'm not very familiar with, but apparently has probably shown up in the 86 cartoon. And that character is called Ace Duck. So, and is a kind of Indiana Jones-ish type character. So yeah, those two go on an adventure before that gets taken care of. But also, during the course of that adventure, we do kind of cut back to the Turtles in New York trying to find out what happened to April, which leads into the backup story where Raphael and Mikey go on patrol and meet up with another character from that era whom I don't know too much about, also named Mona Lisa. If you're watching the video version, you can see the cover where all of this is I'm saying is held true. And those three kind of go on an adventure. And apparently, I guess Raph had a thing for this character as it were. So that also kind of comes into play, and maybe is even bringing this character back into the book properly, from what it seems like. Next up, excuse me, the last book is Star Wars number 45, because I am contractually obligated to do a Star Wars book at some point. No, I'm just kidding. I am not, but I do enjoy them. Written by Charles Soule, art by Madabek Musabekov, typo. Color artist Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters by VC's Clayton Powell. So this is part 2 of the trial of Lando Calrissian. But you would think after the events of last issue, in where one of the people that was presiding over the trial, that being Mon Mothma, gets kidnapped from her remote location, you would think that would end the trial. It does not. The trial goes on, but at the same time, because of the kidnapping, the rebellion kind of does a scatter once again, because they've done this before. It was like, nope, we got stuff in place, because she knows a whole lot of stuff about us, so we need to kind of scatter to the winds, that kind of situation. But also, we need to go find her. So that kind of starts happening in this with Poe Dameron's dad and his crew. And they kind of get to a point with that, while the trial still kind of goes on with Lando and his probably slightly suspect lawyer named Sally Giorgio, who I still think is probably named after somebody's reference, but I don't know, and probably would have to ask Charles Soule that if someone hasn't already. But yeah, good stuff. And the reason why I bring up that part is because, well, hey, guess what? If you're kind of curious about the part of Empire Strikes Back when Lando comes into play and Leia and crew meets them, we get a little bit more information about, we get a reference to that and a little bit more information about that meeting coming out of this. So there you go. And with that, folks, that is all of my books. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Von Gloom says, my ears are burning. Agent mentioned he that traces.
Oh no.
But also he also mentioned he would
don't get me started. I'm joking.
He is pretty petty and messy whenever RR is mentioned. I'm not sure who that is in reference to. I'm assuming Sebastian Shaw. But find it funny that they implied Emma's natural accent is a Boston one. I mean, yeah, she's supposedly from Boston, so her fancy up. I think that's the case. Yeah. But obviously she talks like she's, more proper. As agent, I mean, excuse me, as Von Gloom says, her fancy upper society accent is faked, and I believe some that has been mentioned in a book fairly recently.
Wait, is she a Southie? I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I'll get back to you on that, folks.
But Von Gloom also says, so I wanted to break character in X-Men 97. The X-Bums wrecked my car.
Oh no.
He also says, damn, Godzilla's everywhere. That is also true. Oh, that was in reference that yes, okay. The messy, he is pretty petty and messy part was in reference to Doom. Got it. Yes, right. Whenever.
Yeah.
And RR. Okay, now I know who you're talking about. Yes. Indeed. That being said, so what you got? We know you got some potentials that you mentioned.
Yeah, no, my candidates are pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Candidates are pretty clear. I'm between Doctor Strange and Immortal Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And X-Men 3. Probably. But I think the two lead candidates are probably Doctor Strange and Immortal Thor.
I can say that Doctor Strange is pretty solid, so I haven't read Immortal yet. But for myself, Doctor Strange, Avengers, actually X-Men.
Yeah, I like X-Men too. I like it. It's good because it does help us move towards the end game, as I said.
Right. So, oh shoot! You know what? There was a part of Invincible. I don't know why I'm thinking about this now, but there was a part of Invincible with a cameo, not cameo, of a character that shows up.
Two cameo.
Yes, that shows up during
Prof Ock.
Yes. That was a fun little bit, and obviously they got the voice actor for the other character, the long-standing.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, that was the current one, I should say. Long-standing current one. They got to voice that other character, so that was pretty fun. But anyway, oh, Birds of Prey was my other one. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Sure,
that was actually pretty fun. But do you actually have yours?
I think so. I think just based on like the enjoyment factor, I think I'm going to go with Doctor Strange number 14 because I really, I can't say this enough, and that's why it brought out that rant about Taskmaster. About seeing Taskmaster like be picked on, have fun things to say and fun things to do in that book. I really enjoyed it. Immortal Thor is just consistently good, but and so is Doctor Strange. Don't get me wrong, McKay is doing excellent work on Doctor Strange. So I'm going to go with Doctor Strange number 14 this week.
I mean, it's a damn good pick. I kind of would want to go along with that one actually.
Yeah, I mean that, and like the Taskmaster stuff and Black Cat's meta commentary did it for me this week.
Yeah,
like seriously, boys, with your heads in the game and not noticing the perfect 10 in your midst. Good Lord, I felt like someone was like grabbing me by the collar, by the collar and shaking me right then and there. Real.
Right. It's a toughie. You know what? Screw it. Just to kind of go against what I probably would have actually said. Birds of Prey number 8. I thought it was fun. That book's actually continues to be pretty good. Like, yeah, definitely Doctor Strange is good. Consistently good. Avengers are good. She-Hulk actually, there was a couple of moments there, but that book is kind of what it is. Not saying that's bad, but
right. Listen, there were a couple of scenes that were very much well written and well laid out by Iguara. Storytelling in that book is top notch, and so are some of the facial, because it's not just the dialogue; it's also the art displaying, a lot of the emotion there, and Iguara is doing an excellent job, because that's the core of that book is are the relationships,
right? And we get
Jen
to see
has with the characters, the supporting characters in the book.
right. Yeah, we get to see a part of Jen in this issue that we don't normally get to see because the way she's usually played up. Most times than not. Actually, almost once having you said that and me thinking about it, almost has me wanting to switch up my pick, but I'm not gonna do it. So, but yeah, though that
was too much this week. I wouldn't pick. I enjoyed my time reading Doctor Strange this week. Was just too fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. That was the one I was like, yeah, I kind of want to go with that one, but since you already did it one, and I feel like Birds of Prey has been a pretty decent enough book that other people should read it. I don't know how that book is doing, but I think it's a pretty solid book.
Sounds good.
Von Gloom says Prof Ock design was original cool. Yeah, Marvel should have had them cameo in Spider-Verse. Yeah, they kind of almost did I kind of wondered that's kind of partially what they were in referencing with some of the things that they've been doing with Invincible this season.
Well, I think they directly referenced it in that dialogue during that scene.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm familiar with this.
Yes,
you're from another universe. I'm familiar with that.
Right. And I don't know how much of that, which I think if I'm not mistaken, is a thing in Invincible's book, or it has happened at one point in time in Invincible's book. But, like I said, most people know it more so from Spider-Verse.
Right. But I think they were absolutely referencing it in the dialogue.
Totally. Mm-hmm. They absolutely do. Yeah. No, you say that. All right, folks, we're going to push on to the news section. Let's get our first ad read in.
Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. So place your first order with $20 off. And to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. Now we get into the news.
Cinematic news. We start off with some Trek stuff. Star Trek Section 31, the first look has been revealed. So yes, that I believe it is still a movie. Yes, that's starring Michelle Yeoh, whose character was from Star Trek Discovery. Is still being worked on. You see, if you're watching the video version, you can see an image of Michelle Yeoh and some character right there. Here's a quote here from Michelle Yeoh that says, "We'd never let go of her." Michelle said to Variety about doing the film, "I was just blown away by all the different things I could do with her. Honestly, it was like, let's just get it done because I believe in this." So that's cool. But yeah, I don't think, we don't have a whole lot of more information about that movie other than the fact that, hey, it's a Star Trek thing. It's going to be on Paramount Plus, but we don't know when it's going to come out because they're still working on it. Next up,
Pluto TV, which is part of the Paramount Global portfolio of services, already has on its ad-supported free streaming service multiple Star Trek series that run on their Star Trek and more Star Trek channels. Mm-hmm. But now they've set up a dedicated channel for Deep Space Nine. That's pretty cool. So now that there are 3 Trek channels where they're kind of playing like episodes, as they run.
Mm-hmm. So the kind of, and I think recently, because I watch Pluto TV relatively often when there's nothing else on that I cared to watch it. Other than that, Deep Space Nine was on a whole lot on their more Star Trek channel, so I was like, well, that pretty much was that channel.
Gotcha.
In that respect, but yeah, they just basically pushed them over into their own channel, and I think what Discovery actually had been playing on the more Star Trek, because usually they have one set up for the original series, and I think the other one is TNG. Yeah, there's another one that's usually playing either TNG and there's another one for like no, wait, I think yeah, the one plays original series, and I think TNG, and I think the other one was playing mostly as of recently Deep Space Nine or something like that. Either way, it was some variation of that. But regardless, hey, Star Trek is on when you want it.
Right. I mean, for those of us who do not want to get another streaming service, do not want to jump into Paramount Plus. You can watch your Star Trek here. You can get your fix, right? Yeah, if you're not that big a Trek person.
Yeah, if you don't care about
I know
it's
not Trekkie, but Trekker. Right. I know that I have tuned into the Pluto Godzilla channel every now and again just to get my fix too.
I was going to mention that actually next, because that's still a thing going on.
Yep.
But they had something over the weekend about that, but it was just because it was like Godzilla's birthday or whatever, or something related to the new movie also. So yeah,
right.
Get your Trek on. Next up though, the Fantastic Four corner, Julia Garner has joined the movie as a Shalabal version of the Silver Surfer. For some strange reason, despite the fact that this came out on April 3rd, I have seen one or two rumblings of this, of someone on social media saying that this may have been an April Fool's joke, or they wanted it to be.
Right.
Kind of dumb situation, but people see this and it's like, people get their dander in a ruffle because of stupid reasons. But again, this is Shia LaBeouf. Well, that aside, but
I mean, I was on the verge of ranting on this one also, but then at the end of the day, when it comes down to how the adaptation moves forward, right? This is my point of view on it. It's an adaptation. They're going to do something different with it. What they do with it, I hope works. Because I remember that in the comics, the character that turns, I'm not spoiling anything here, folks. The character that turns the Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd, against Galactus is no member of the Fantastic Four, but rather Alicia Masters. By making the Surfer female, I wonder if the character they use to turn the Surfer against Galactus ends up being one of the male characters or another female character.
There you
Let's
go.
say it's Alicia again.
Right.
Because I'm not even going to say the word, but
Okay. But also, it's kind of one of the things, and I'm not saying this is the reason why they're doing this, because we don't know their reasons for doing anything they're doing, but we've already seen that in the movies, because they did do that in Rise of the Silver Surfer.
What's that?
The Fantastic Four movie. I
don't remember watching most of that, so
yeah, they pretty much did that already. I'm not saying that this is why they're going with this, because so as you said, they want to do something different. That's already been done. If that has any partial reasoning as to why they're going this way, and it could be some controversial thing, we don't know. Like, we don't know if they're going to be the main Silver Surfer or anything.
Right.
So
that's obviously something that came up also, because the image that I saw was an Alex Ross image. I thought that was Earth X with Shia LaBeouf in the Silver Surfer skin.
I believe that is the case. Yeah.
So I don't remember that story. I remember reading it, but such a long time ago, and I don't remember a lot of it.
I remember seeing the image, so I don't know. I don't think I read any Earth X. But yeah, so
I
that's the thing.
collected it. I read it. I don't remember it though.
Right. But that's the thing. But speaking on continuing on the Fantastic Four corner.
Yeah, Marvel released a new. I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say. I wish I had thought about this on that day.
Oh yeah. So Marvel released a new Fantastic Four poster featuring Joseph Quinn's Human Torch on 4/4 day. I mean, okay, that works.
Yeah, 4/4/2024. I mean, hey, it was a lot of fours there. If they had put it out at 4/44 on that day, it would have been also something else.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Which is why that's what I said. I was like, dang, I wish I had thought about that. But could have had a big Fantastic Four symbol up at the time. But yeah, if you're watching the video version, you can see the image of from Marvel Entertainment's Twitter account. That basically says celebrate 4/4 day at marvel.com/fantasy4. And I believe if you go to that site, and I thought I saw another article that might be mentioned in this. Nope. Okay, that site is not available. Yeah. So I believe they were touting free Fantastic Four books to get people ready for the movie. I don't know if that is still a thing. But I mean, I know Marvel Unlimited is kind of doing a free comics thing anyway, to within reason. So it might still be up. I mean, it might be still available, but just not at that site or whatever the case may be. Regardless, there's image is Human Torch, and there is that. Von Gloom says, yeah, in Earth X, I think Shalabal was resurrected. Cool. Next up. The Punisher is back. John Bernthal enters the MCU as a bloody Frank Castle and new Daredevil Born Again set for photos. So if you were setting your bingo cards to see whether the Punisher was going to be back, hey, guess what? Mark your point.
Bingo.
Yes. I think I saw like someone Cheo Coker was basically saying something along the lines of when we did Luke Cage, we weren't getting we didn't get any people, we weren't basically getting set photos getting put out for Luke Cage like that, basically spoiling stuff. And it was just like, I guess saying as a fan, he was kind of hates that these set photos kind of come out and potentially spoil things. So
I think they want to drum up reignite interest. That is
right,
because of the difficulty this production has experienced so far.
Right.
That's my guess. That's my guess.
Yeah, like I said, that was just a thing I saw, just happened to see online. I was going to kind of like, I guess, but at the same time, like what Agent 70 just said. So yeah, apparently, I don't think there's anything else outside of that. Yeah, outside of these set shots, and yeah, I mean, look, the possibility of this character coming back was not exactly small,
right?
So especially with the fact that they pretty much got everybody else back, So I guess that's not necessarily a spoiler; it's just kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Von Gloom says he's tweeted a picture of the Michael Jackson mutant, and he says it's either MJ or Corey Feldman. But is he wearing sunglasses at night?
Like me?
If you remember that song. Next up, though.
Alrighty. Star Wars Tales of the Empire trailer has been revealed. So this is a new 6-part animated anthology in the style of Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. It was announced with a surprise trailer and some key art being revealed. So I have not watched this trailer. Have you?
Yep. It's a good looking trailer. It brought up a question that I totally, it brought up someone that I totally forgot about. Oh yeah, they never really did kind of finish up with that character. Which if you're watching the video version, you can see the character in question. So the trailer centers around 2 characters, and that's the Diana Lee and Santos Morgan Elsbeth from Ahsoka and the Mandalorian. So this kind of basically takes up. It seems like it takes up before where we see her in Ahsoka.
Oh, definitely.
Yes. And another character,
like an origin. I was about to say that my understanding, just reading this article, is that this is more like an origin story for her.
I think that might be the case. Yeah, you have to go through the trailer and kind of suss it out. But also a character that we haven't seen since the Clone Wars, and that's Barriss Offee, who was the Jedi who pretty much went rogue and set up Ahsoka. So we see where she pretty much had gotten to since then. And yeah, like I said, there's some other folks like Thrawn and some fourth sisters. So, that kind of tells where she might be going. But what does that have to do with Morgan Ellsworth? Who's to say if it does or not? But it does seem like there will be some interaction. But yeah, it looks good though. It kind of came on the slide. Didn't think, but wasn't expecting this one, and apparently I wasn't the only one. But of course, Star Wars Day, so you got to have something for it, right? Right. Outside of that, the 3 trilogies coming back out into theaters. So, but yeah, check out the trailer for yourself, and we'll certainly be talking about it when it airs. Next up, though, Beau Willimon is to co-write James Mangold's Star Wars movie. So apparently, this person is from House of Cards. So those who are probably familiar with House of Cards will know this person's work. The playwright and screenwriter has been tapped to work the script for Star Wars: Dawn of the Jedi, which is James Mangold's Star Wars film. Let's see. Willimon. Yeah. Oh, Willimon is joining Mangold to write the script for the project that will trace the origins of the Force and will be set 25,000 years before any of the timelines and stories told by the movies and shows so far, according to this article. Oh, cool. Next up.
All right. Disney shareholders officially reject Nelson Peltz's board bid in a big win for CEO Bob Iger. So the shareholders shot down activist investor Nelson Peltz's effort to win seats on Disney's board of directors. Investors voted to re-elect all 12 company-backed board members, including CEO Bob Iger. So this ended the most expensive corporate proxy fight in history. So I think Peltz was the guy that was talking about the why are we having all these minority and women-led, of color-led movies? Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Basically, good that he's gone or out of the picture for now. So I'm also looking at this one of these articles on the side. I'm like, damn.
Did we skip? I skipped one. I apologize.
Wait, did you?
Yep, the Beau Willimon.
Yeah, no, I did that one.
Oh, you did? Oh, I could have sworn. Okay, my apologies. My apologies.
No,
all righty.
But now I was looking at this something on the side of this for that Variety article that I was like, some people just need to shut up.
Gotcha. Next up,
talking to you, Boulder. You still haven't watched last Airbender, have you?
No, it's probably unlikely I'm going to do it anytime soon.
It's a good show. You should watch it. Anyway, yeah, Jonathan.
I have a long list on my anime list. So
okay, but you can move that one up because technically it's not anime, just inspired. If you wanted to, that's up to you. But yeah, I know you got the list. Which we'll be getting to anime in a little bit. Jonathan Majors denied bid to have assault and harassment conviction overturned. Actor to be sentenced next week. So dude's about to be up for a year behind bars. And not the Slick Rick song. So yeah, judges denied the defense's motion to set aside the verdicts and strip the guilty results from the actor. And so it looks like according to this article, with that last Harold Murphy effort now dead, Majors will be sentenced on April 8th, which
If he's a first-time offender, he's not going to get a year. He may not get much at all. He's not going to get a year. Nobody gets a year.
I mean, I know you would know better than most, but I don't have faith in that.
I mean, they call it, you know, if I have to see what it's assault on the third, aggravated, right? That's not a year. That's that's at best like months.
Right. So, yeah, this article says potentially faces up to. So
yeah, but I'm just saying, I'm just being realistic here.
Mm-hmm. Being judicial. I got you. I get you. I feel you.
Next up. Ezra Miller's Invincible role has been recast following his idiocy.
Speaking of three criminals,
I put that word in there. The word that the Hollywood Reporter put in was controversies. I say it's idiocy. So,
go ahead. Sorry. Good.
Well, what's wrong with idiocy?
No. Idiocy is a perfect word. It's their title that is
right. So Ezra Miller was cast as, what was the character?
D.A. Sinclair.
Oh, D.A. Oh, he voiced District Attorney. Oh, they voiced District Attorney Sinclair. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So wait,
and now District Attorney is another District Attorney is voiced by Eric Bauza.
Right, which I honestly didn't know the difference. So,
right.
But I did not even know he was voicing the character. I don't think, or maybe I never looked into it. So good that he's out of there. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, it's just like this. The title of this talking about role recast following controversy. Motherfucker went on the whole ass crime spree. That's not a controversy. That's a crime. That's a fucking crime spree. Like softening that stuff. Yeah, people are stupid. But yes, idiocy. No, you use idiocy. That was the perfect word. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's that. And still not behind bars, by the way. Anyway, Sony's new Karate Kid movie begins filming and adds Miss Marvel and It stars to cast. Before you get too excited. It is not Iman Vellani.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, because that was the first thing I thought of when I saw that. But no, apparently it is Aramis Knight who played Red Dagger on the series, on the Disney Plus series, and Wyatt Olaf, who I guess was in It.
Okay.
Oh, and played a young Peter Quill in the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So there is a Marvel connection to both of those folks. So there you go. Next up.
All right, so here's some hyperbole. Right, this article has some hyperbole in it. So Hasbro has a special treat in store for longtime Transformers fans as part of the 40th anniversary celebrations. And now there is, let's see here. So you'll soon be able to go to the theater to watch a screening of episodes from the original 1984 Transformers animated series. And you'll also get an exclusive table read that you can watch that's going to be included alongside the pilot episode that features original voice actors like Peter Cullen, who voiced Optimus Prime, and Frank Welker, who voiced Megatron, revisiting their characters. If you want to make it happen, here's what you need to know. So these are going to be limited screenings. Let's see, starting on Wednesday, May 15th. So the behind-the-scenes table read will appear on a split screen for the pilot episode, and followed by a traditional screening of the next 3 episodes of the series. You get a sneak peek at the new season of the animated series Transformers Earthspark as part of the event. Tickets for the anniversary event will go on sale at Transformers40thcinemaevent.com on April 10th. And yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, seeing the table read in a split screen. You know, see them do the read it out loud.
Right. So that was pretty cool. Also, you can see Transformers the original series on Pluto. We're not sponsored. We're not being sponsored. I'm just saying they also have a channel on Pluto TV where you could see that.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. Actually, you can see all of their stuff because they show a lot of, I think they've shown like those other later ones also on there. But like I said, lately I've been seeing more original and Beast Wars.
Okay.
But I think they just have blocks for stuff, shown on their channel. So, but yeah, good stuff. Did we talk about, because I could have sworn there was also putting the movie back into theaters, or maybe I'm thinking about or dreaming about that or something. I don't know.
I think I saw something about it.
Yeah. That's news we'll get to later as far as that. But yeah. So, hey, if you want to relive some trauma, you can also go rewatch that at any given time. Next up, though, Thundercats director explains how the reboot will stay, quote, 100% true to the 80s cartoon. So, director Adam Wingard vows that the movie will honor the 80s classic, featuring iconic designs and a faithful story. According to the summary of this article, there will be challenges ahead with the CGI for humanoid animal hybrids, which, from what I'm mistaken, has kind of been the thing the number of times that they've tried to get this movie off the ground. Requiring a careful balance between realism and cartoon homage, and the production, as not surprising, for the movie remains uncertain at this time. So, yeah. Somebody's still trying to get that out of the way. I'm sure Mask fans are like crying because that's still not off the ground yet either. But one of them are going to come. It's just a matter of which one makes it out first. Next up.
Okay, so after 21 years, the quote-unquote iconic Halo parody Red vs. Blue ends with one last movie alongside the death of Rooster Teeth. So Rooster Teeth is getting shut down by parent company Warner Brothers this year, but not before the studio sends off arguably its most beloved production, the Halo parody series Red vs. Blue, with one last movie. So it's set to launch on May 7th as an 87-minute film available for purchase on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play, Vudu, and more digital distributors at a price of $14.99. It'll be available for rent on May 21st for $4.99. So none of this makes any sense to me. I had no idea there was Red versus Blue Halo. I am not in the know on this, so I'll hand it to Roddykat. Apparently, this all started back in 2003.
It did. Basically, it's Machinima. Actually, one of the first noted projects of Machinima. People were going in Halo and making little videos out of it, and that's how Rooster Teeth got its teeth, I guess you could say. Funnily enough, Rooster Teeth also shows up in the credits of, I think, either Bad Batch or Invincible, one of the two, for like additional designs. So yeah, they had been doing other things outside of this. And they also were doing other things outside of Red versus Blue anyway, since all this time. So yeah, I guess they're kicking it back into Halo and doing this for one last time for folks that know. Like, yeah, that Joker's been around for a while. Anyway, hey, guess what, folks? There's a new Matrix movie in the works with Drew Goddard directing and Lana Wachowski executive producing. Not in the director's chair. So, and according to, I guess, this article, it's the first Matrix film to not have a Wachowski in the director's chair. Which, after that last one, I still don't know how to feel about that. So, I don't know how to feel about this, really. Like, do we need another one? No. Did we need that last one? It was good in parts, but no.
Yeah. All right, I'll move on.
Yes.
All right. Futurama season 12 release date has been announced, and it is the 12th season will arrive on Hulu on Monday, July 29th. Okay. Good for you, fans of Futurama.
As this article said, the little animated series that could. Yeah, that show has come and gone an amazing amount of times at this point. But then again, Simpsons has still been around for like 50 years, so I don't know. Next up, though, possible spoiler alert? Don't know. Godzilla X Kong director hints at Godzilla's death. So in speaking with discussing film, Wingard talks about his love of Godzilla vs. Destroyer, the 1995 film that was released in Japan that pits the king of the monsters against one of the biggest, baddest giant beasts introduced in the Toho universe, according to this article. Quote, I'll say this, one of my top Godzilla movies is that aforementioned movie. The reason it's one of my favorites is I don't think any of the other Godzilla movies, maybe outside of -1 and the 1954 original, has ever hit such emotional highs. And it talks about the ending of that movie. I guess spoiler for a movie from 1995, but which I still won't say it here. But Godzilla Jr. died. Oh, I guess I did say it. Godzilla Jr. dies, and subsequently Godzilla melts to death.
Yeah. Yeah. But, there is a hopeful ending to that movie.
Sure.
So, obviously Godzilla's come back. But,
Mhm.
but yeah, I definitely enjoyed watching Destroyer. And at the time, they did this movie. My understanding is that they wrote the movie that way so that the Godzilla movie, the awful 1998 Godzilla movie, would pick up with nothing, no idea of with no sense of continuation.
No baggage. Gotcha. I gotcha. Which, either way didn't help that movie anyway because it was not great.
Right. I still have not watched it. I have not subjected myself to it.
I've seen it, but it was probably like right around the time that it came out.
Mhm.
So yeah. Anyway, speaking of Godzilla, hey,
I was about to say, next up. Oh no, this is mine.
Yeah.
Godzilla's new pink transformation was inspired by, and I think Roddykat was talking to me about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Inspired by Dragon Ball Z. So Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire lead creature designer, says Goku's Kaioken inspired Godzilla's new look. That's funny. That's actually the one. I'm kind of in between. Like, I do very much like Dragon Ball Z, but I haven't gotten into the figures. And I have one Dragon Ball Z character, a figure, and it is the Kaioken version of Goku.
Mm-hmm. Now, for those who may come along to the show and think, "Hey, that's a spoiler," it's not, because you saw it in the trailer.
Yeah, I was about to say it's in the trailer that he's pink.
Yeah, so don't get your panties in a bunch. Yeah, that was interesting. I'm like, you know what? Again, Toriyama continuing to inspire. So, and speaking of which, that brings us into the anime corner.
Mute.
Berserk return. I was about to say something about something that had nothing to do with that soundbite, but we'll get to that in a minute. Berserk returned as an Amazon chart topper as newest anime release goes live. So basically, the Blu-ray got a lot more sales because of this new thing that's coming out. So, and it says, the complete 1997 TV series, which I think Von Bloom has mentioned previously on the tweets, now that I think about it. But yeah, the tops the Amazon's bestseller in movies and TV last week, beating out massive titles like Aliens 4K, Dune, Oppenheimer, and the Godzilla Kong Monsterverse 5 film collector's edition in North America. The Blu-ray was released on March 26, 2024, and is currently rated at 4.9 stars. And that's probably fans of Berserk doing that, because good and well fans of Berserk, the fans of anything, are going to get out there and rate things high. So I believe Berserk is also on Crunchyroll, which I think that's probably where, if I ever get around to watching it,
right.
I think
it's there.
Mm-hmm. And I know they're doing that new one, which is supposedly more faithful to the manga, but hey. And it's not the first time I've heard people say, yeah, Berserk's good, but I've not. Sure.
I've tried it. I got partway through it, and then I realized there's like 2 versions of it already.
Right.
And so I needed to watch the other version as opposed to the version I was watching. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a Full Metal Alchemist situation. Like, yeah, you're gonna watch one and you watch the other one, which is supposedly more full, but I guess both of them will get you the full picture in some weird way, potentially. I don't know. Next up.
All right, next up. So the first slam dunk anime film, which came out in 2022, heads to Blu-ray this June. and a collector's edition is planned. So G Kids plans this DVD or Blu-ray release for June 25th. Okay, so that's upcoming. There'll be more details coming up soon. This movie opened in Japan on December 3rd, 2022. Okay.
Right. And I've actually seen people out there on social media who's like, oh, I can't wait for this. Also worth noting, I guess this article came out on April 1st, so people thought it was an April Fool's joke, but I think it came to be non-essential true.
Timed. Right. Unfortunately timed.
Which some things happened, so you kind of got to weed through some of that. Crunchyroll adds 1981 Urusei Yatsura anime. I feel like I've seen that out there already, but it might have also been on Retro Crush. I'm thinking something else. Yes. Regardless, oh, yes, this is the anime version of the manga, and it's in Japanese with English subtitles, and is already on the streaming service as of this past Thursday, or last Thursday, I guess. Not this past Thursday. The original anime series ran from 1981 to 86. There's also a bunch of films, which a couple of them I have been seeing on the Crunchyroll streaming channel, and I have no idea what's going on. So yeah, fans of that series, rejoice, I guess, but you probably already got the DVDs. Next up.
All righty, My Hero Academia Memories will begin broadcasting on April 6th. This is a recap. These are recap specials that are set to air on April 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, ahead of the return of season 7 of My Hero Academia. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's been away for a little while, so if you're, if you really do need the assistance of the recap, go ahead.
Sure. Actually, I'm about to add another one before I do the next one. But apparently,
sure. Well, just as a real quick note, and I think we have mentioned this, My Hero Academia season 7 does start on May 4th.
Okay.
So these recap specials are going to be issued on a weekly basis, and then in advance of May 4th.
Actually, this might be something Agent 70 is interested in. Haikyuu Anime 10th Anniversary Connecting Project has been announced. So Haikyuu is celebrating its 10-year anniversary of broadcasting on April 6th, which is actually the day we are recording. To mark this milestone, the Haikyuu Anime 10th Anniversary Connecting Project has been launched. The project unveiled its first commemorative visual and the 10th anniversary exhibition. Excuse me. The theme of the anniversary project is connecting, as it said. The first, quote, school visual that draws down the characters of the main schools have been unveiled. The visuals feature Hanada and Kageyama from Karasuno High School.
Karasuno, I know. Listen, I'm a fan of the anime, and the funny part about watching stuff in sub is that you always pronounce it the way it is in Japanese.
Sure, it does. And Kema and Kuru from Nekoma High School, each play is visually, quote, connected. So yeah, I'm going to put that in the show notes so folks can check that out. Is there anything more into this? Yeah, it sounds like there's some merch and other stuff is going to be connected to this also. Next up though, for the actually I'm going to do these next two. Funimation is gone, but not gone forever. That is this article's think piece on this thing. So, but I'm just saying, bringing this up because, hey, as of April 4th, Funimation.com, the anime streaming site, gone. So hopefully you connected your stuff to Crunchyroll already. If you haven't, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. But also in that, apparently, Funimation's closure leaves 190 plus anime titles homeless, according to this article by the same person who wrote that last one. And apparently on social media, fans have come together to list the missing titles that Crunchyroll has yet to post. It is noted that there are some things that from Funimation that will continue to be coming over outside of the stuff that's already there. Currently, there are 192 titles listed. For some of those shows, there's a list. Or it says, for some of these shows, they're sub or dub, maybe missing, if not both. And apparently there's a list that someone did of the, as of now, potentially missing shows. So whether they end up on Crunchyroll.
I'm looking at the list. Yeah, I'm looking at, I guess it's a fan-made list.
Right.
And so there are some interesting omissions, but obviously they're still working on migrating all of this stuff at some point.
Right. So I haven't looked at the list yet, so I'm kind of curious. But if one or two things that I'm hoping is going to show up, which I don't know has anything to do with Funimation, now that I think about it, so I'll look at that on my own time. Next up,
oftentimes it's the dub of something that's already there in sub, but there are a few things that are missing that are both sub and dub, so they're just completely missing from the migration to Crunchyroll.
Right, but the thing I'm thinking about, it wasn't a Funimation joint. It was, I believe it was a Shueisha joint. That's a little older. That is not anywhere. So anyway, next up.
Alrighty, next up, Digimon. Digimon Adventure 02, the beginning anime film, sets Blu-ray date for North America. Shout Studios is going to bring the latest feature home on June 11th, 2024. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is the latest Digimon anime film.
Yeah. Shout's been doing those Digimon films, so it's not surprising of that. First look at Crunchyroll's spring anime series. We kind of did a similar story like last week or week before last. I can't remember, but just a reminder. Hey, Kaiju number 8 still coming. Still coming soon. Black Butler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we did talk about some of these. I thought there was some new stuff that was added. Oh, Bartender Glass of the God is already out. I've actually been meaning to check that out for some stupid reason. It's always some of those silly. It's like, you made an anime about this that I kind of want to check out. So anyway, next up.
The Guinness World Records has certified Jujutsu Kaisen as the most in-demand animated TV show, also calling it the world's most popular anime. The series overtakes Attack on Titan, seriously, which has held the record since 2020.
You gotta love it. Which is, it's kind of weird because you would think it would have been Demon Slayer.
Or One Piece. Apparently One Piece is like right near the top.
Right. So it does mention that part. So, sure, that's a thing, I guess. I mean, world's most popular. I mean, it's not, obviously we are US centric here, so take that for what it is. But you would still think it was Demon Slayer given things.
Sure.
But now we will turn over into the manga corner. Oh, I can't wait for that book to come out. I really can't. And to get my stuff ripped so I can watch them again. Anyway, Terraformers manga resumes after a 5-year hiatus on April 4th, so that's just restarted. This year's 17th issue of Shueisha's Weekly's Young Jump magazine revealed on Thursday, revealed that Kenichi Tachibana's and Yu Sasuga's Terraformers manga will resume in the magazine's 18th issue, and is already out at this point. The manga will feature on the cover of the 18th issue and will have an opening color page. The magazine will also bundle a sticker to commemorate the manga's return. Apparently, the manga has been on indefinite hiatus since December 2019, with the announcement at the time citing Sasuga's health issues. And then in 2021, Tachibana slated that as coming back, and I guess now they have returned since Sasuga's health issues are better now. So cool. And then it goes on to say that Tachibana has launched another manga, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next up.
Alrighty. Dragon Ball SD creator shares new Dragon Ball cover art. So the creator, let me put this dude's name. Oh my goodness. All right, so Dragon Ball Volume 18 covered by Nao Ohishi, author of Dragon Ball SD. Okay, so this is all part of. Let's see. Oh, okay, so they're redoing cover art from the original Dragon Ball series and the 40 covers of Akira Toriyama's original Dragon Ball series. And the latest cover art makeover comes from Dragon Ball SD artist Nao Oishi, showing off a new take on volume 18 of the original series. And you can see the image if you click through to the X Twitter.
Yep, if you're watching the video version, you can see that, wait, I thought it was Kohei Horikoshi.
It says Nao Oishi.
Okay. Sure. All right. Next up.
I'm just looking at it.
No. I'm not doubting you, but I'm seeing. I saw a different name on the article, so I don't.
Oh no, this is the second. The next article is with Kohei Horikoshi because that's the My Hero one. Go ahead. You're not right. You're not wrong, but it's a different story.
Oh, and actually, oh yes, I was on the wrong.
You got to read the next story. That's your story.
Okay.
Horikoshi is the creator behind My Hero, and that's where this story is about to go.
Okay. Now I'm there now. So yeah, Horikoshi honors the late Akira Toriyama in My Hero Academia Volume 40 while paying homage to one of the most memorable covers in Dragon Ball Z. Now that, folks, if you're watching the video version, was the cover that you were seeing, and not what Agent 70 was talking about, which is
I didn't do anything.
Not you. There we go. This one you had to kind of click through, but the other one you did not. So there we go. So that's the Dragon Ball Super cover that Agent 70 was mentioning. And now we get to the one that I was mentioning that I was showing up first. So there you go. Yeah, that's cool stuff. And actually, I think I had seen this one out there on the social medias. So that's cool. Next up.
Alrighty. Next up, Sega takes Spy Family's Anya Forger undercover in a playful new release. Let's see here. So this is Sega's latest Illuminasta Spy Family Anya Forger figure, which depicts the character playing a real undercover spy, is now available for pre-order. So this is not an action figure. This is a little statuette, folks.
Correct.
And it costs $24.99 and estimated to arrive in September 2024.
And it does not say waka waka.
Right. But listen, I know lots of these, anime and manga fans don't mind that these little statuettes do not move. They just like having the depiction of the character.
I mean, technically, you're almost there.
I'm not a fan of them not moving. I'd rather have an action figure.
I know, but I'm saying you have one though. I'm just saying you're almost there.
One of these solid ones that don't move?
The Dragon Ball.
No, I don't.
The Dragon Ball one that moves?
It's an action figure. It's a Bandai. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was a statue.
No. The Dragon Ball moves. The Mikasa, the bootleg Mikasa one I got, the Attack on Titan one. That's an action figure.
The Demon Slayer ones also.
Demon Slayers are action figures.
Yeah. Okay. I stand corrected. Now we get over in.
I've made this. I've made my like semi rants against the statues. I'm not a fan.
Mm-hmm. So. Understood.
Go ahead. Next up.
Actually, this is I guess a kind of a spoiler for this week's Vengeance of the Moon Knight, but Vengeance of the Moon Knight preview teases the identity of the imposter Moon Knight. I have not read any of those issues since
30.
Yeah, since 30.
The first one.
Well, yeah, not even that one.
I read the first Vengeance. I think I read the first Vengeance of the Blu-ray.
Yeah. So I have not since Spectre died, so, or quote unquote died, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, apparently there's a tease in this week's that is this week. Yeah, I think because that did come out this week. Shout out to Tim for the story, by the way. But yeah, this is a preview, and we get to know who's under the mask. I'll just show the cover right there, but it doesn't show anything. So there you go. Next up.
Alrighty, so Black Widow's new symbiote isn't going anywhere anytime soon, okay? In fact, this summer their bond will strengthen even further in Black Widow Venomous #1, a new one-shot, which will unleash Natasha's full potential as a symbiote warrior. Okay. Written by Erica Schultz with art by Luciano Vecchio, Black Widow Venomous #1 is part of the lead-up to the long-awaited Venom War crossover, which will pit father Eddie Brock against son Dylan Brock in a battle which will have every symbiote character in the Marvel Universe picking sides. I don't care.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Now, granted, we've seen Natasha pop up in Thunderbolts and a couple other places with the suit. I'm like, I guess, but I don't. Why? Anyway, Marvel prepares for Spider-Gwen's big move to Earth 616 with the new variant cover for Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider #1. So yeah, apparently Gwen's permanently coming over to the 616. As all good characters end up doing at some point, I guess.
Right.
So if you're watching the video version, you can see said variant cover and another cover, which is that Greg Land? No,
Stop.
No, the variant covers are by Jenny Friesen and Pablo Villalobos. Villalobos, that's right. So, and I just showed both of them off. So yeah, and that when is that? Is that June? May 22nd is when Gwen's book comes back. Next up.
Dr. Doom is soaked in blood, and the Silver Surfer returns to Earth in July. Blood Hunter's solicitation. So this is some early solicitation news from Marvel as we get into July books. Yeah, yes. July books. Mm-hmm. Goodness gracious.
Oh my gosh. So if you're watching the video version, you can see the cover, and you see not only...
And it's like Greg Land.
Is it?
You see his signature right by Doom's calf.
Oh yeah. I didn't scroll enough about.
Oh my God, they're both by this blood. Both these Blood Hunters covers. Get this off my screen.
Oh yeah. So the first one, as I was about to say, is Dr. Doom with Yelena Belova and Hellcow.
Oh God.
And the second cover, if you're not watching the video version, but if you should check it out sometime, is unfortunately Hallows Eve, Satana, and the Silver Surfer, all of which soaked in blood from both of those covers.
Goodness. So
yeah, Blood Hunt's again gonna be a thing. It's whether you like it or not, it's coming. Next up.
I guess I'll take it. X-Men power couple Rachel Summers and Betsy Braddock, so apparently Rachel's not dead, to star in a new fall Marvel comic. Okay. So they are going forward in love this fall for an X-Men spinoff. That is... So it's a yet-to-be-announced X-Men title in the upcoming From the Ashes era. Okay.
But I could have, see, that was the thing, because I know I believe there was a Phoenix title, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was going to be, Rachel or even Jean for that matter. We don't know. But, yeah, that's the thing. I didn't know whether they were going to actually come back to that, because I think that was a thing during, Excalibur, when that was still around. Not Excalibur. Was it Excalibur? Whatever. No. Whatever the book that Betsy and crew was in, which is escaping me. I don't think it was Excalibur. Might have been. I don't know.
Knights of X.
Okay, that. But there was a Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, because I can't remember. I thought it was another book, but yes. Next up, though, the X-Men's new Alaska base will be a former Sentinel factory, apparently. And guess what? It debuted this week in Avengers 12.
Right.
So, if that comes to pass, I don't see in reading Avengers 12 that doesn't necessarily come across. They just mentioned the fact that it was like, hey, it's an old Sentinel factory. So, but I guess that all will be revealed, soon. Next up.
Gail Simone's upcoming Uncanny X-Men run will actually have 18 issues in its first year, so there's going to be elements of double shipping here. This exciting news was announced at WonderCon 2024 this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's cool. That is the book that is the more anticipated, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
Of the three books out for some people. And speaking of which, Marvel shares a look at Uncanny X-Men with some David Marquez art. So if you're watching the video version, you can see a page out of said art, which has Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine all on the page. It's uncolored, unlettered, but still looks pretty good. Next up.
Magneto joins the Fall of X and Resurrection of Magneto finale. I mean, we kind of all figured that one just based on the title. So that's not really spoiling anything. So, finally, Magneto is back. What name he's going by remains to be seen.
What you mean, his given name, or
like I said, what name he goes by remains to be.
Right. That keeps changing every other.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird. Actually, I think I need to catch up with that last issue.
Shout out to our very own at TimDog98 for writing this particular exclusive article.
For certain. Marvel's new addition to Wolverine's list of creators draws controversy. Apparently. So it's been revealed that Roy Thomas, former editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, will be credited as one of the 4 creators of Wolverine. The other creators are Lynn Wine, Art Tripp. Is it Trippy?
No, Herb
Trippy. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I said, I don't know where I get art from. And John Romita Sr. So apparently, according to this article, the news sparked a Facebook post from writer Bobby Chase, who worked at Marvel in the 1980s and 90s. Okay. Asking others to discuss the true creators of the characters as well as the implications for editors-in-chief to claim creation over other characters. And I guess that is where the controversy lies.
Right.
So, and the article just goes on to there, and it has something to do with the Wolverine Deadpool movie. Oh, in relation to the Wolverine Deadpool movie, which I'm sure is probably going to have the credits on them as well.
Exactly.
Next up.
Exactly. I would just add on this one that when I was younger, there was a reprint of the first appearance of Wolverine in Incredible Hulk. Mm-hmm. And they had some extras in the issue, and they talked about how the character was created and that it was definitely a group effort. But this was well before the credits for creating characters became a really big thing. Right. So we're talking like late 80s. And I think that's when it came out. And I remember reading this extra material thinking, oh, it was a group effort. So I'm not surprised at an editor because had a hand in this, because if I recall correctly, that's how it was described. Like how the creative process was, described in these interviews. So.
Right. But of course, there are people who have had things to say about this, including other comic book folks.
Of course.
So
of course.
I'm not
it's a slippery slope, obviously. Mm-hmm. Once you have that element put in, it makes it tough. I mean, obviously, some editors in chief have been writers in their own right. Where they wore a lot of hats in the Marvel bullpen.
Right.
So, it does get a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along.
All right, next up in sad bad news. Ed Piskor, hip hop family tree and X-Men grand design artist, did not reportedly pass away, but did pass away at the age of 41 from suicide because of some stuff that had come to light based on his activities, allegedly dealing with younger fans. And, when all that stuff came back to him online, unfortunately, he decided to take another way out. And this was just pretty sad to see. It was pretty tough.
Right. It was also sad to see some of the reporting about it because some of it kind of skewed a way that's kind of not cool. In the way of victim blaming, which,
I don't know if it was yeah, I was about to say, I don't think it's right to, I think at the end
I'm
of
just
the
saying
day,
some of the stuff that I saw was coming off as that. I'm not saying that it actually was, but it kind of could come off that way.
Right. Because ultimately, nothing in the allegations was cool. That was all very bad. And, unfortunately, we're dealing with a very small set of the internet, but a very vocal set of the internet.
Right. And of course, in that there were people who had things to say, some good, some, some bad, depending on how you feel about it, about the situation.
Right.
Also, because people are definitely having their having thoughts about that situation, one way or another.
So ultimately, listen, there's going to be creepers out there. There's always creepers out there. There's people that don't go about things the right way, and whatnot. But the way this all played out was terrible.
Yeah. I was going to try to pull up something.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'd only met Ed Piskor once.
Same.
Had a chance to talk to him, and obviously, this is during the hip hop family tree stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I guess worth noting. So yeah, there's a suicide prevention hotline out there if you find yourself in need of talking to someone, if you're feeling in a way that would lend to would contemplate such an action. Please call and talk to somebody, or at the very least, try to find. I know it's not always easy to find someone to talk about stuff like that. But,
find some help, please.
Yes, please try to find, or at least call the number, or something to try to find another way. Also, well, this is another sad transition, but Mark D. M.D. Bright, longtime DC Marvel artist, passes away at 68. Some may know him as the co-creator of Quantum and Woody.
Right.
Some may know him from, I believe, his work on this Falcon series, the miniseries that I am showing right here, or Our Man and Iron Fist.
That's how I know him, but also from a very, very, very historic one-shot.
I know him. Well, yes, we're getting to that also, but also Armor Wars, I believe, was his art all up and through. So yes, I remember him from his run on from Iron Man.
And I do believe because he was on that it was during that Armor Wars period.
The Silver Centurion stuff. And I believe the one shot you're speaking of is the Spider-Man versus Wolverine, correct?
Yes. Oh, listen, that's foundational. That was when I saw that on the racks, I wanted it so bad. And then I saw the price tag was $250, and I was like, yeah. At the time, I was in junior high school, and it just, like I had money, but I needed to get like other stuff, other comics, and I just couldn't justify the one shot. I circled back at a comic book convention when I was in college to pick this book up, and I was very happy to pick it up.
It says here underneath that, and by the way, the image you're seeing right now is said Spider-Man Wolverine one-shot cover. It says here right underneath that towards the end of his Iron Man run, he became the artist and lead feature in the solo Avengers book, which I remember picking up all of those when they came out. So apparently, I that is and you see one. Actually, yes, there's solo Avengers starring Hawkeye and Mockingbird cover right there, right then and there. I know, somebody on Twitter was putting out art for art for his Armor War stuff because they were basically like hey, y'all are talking about Piskor and y'all are kind of overlooking the passing of MD Bright. So
oh no, that's the next story.
What's that?
No, what you were just saying.
Oh, okay.
I was about to say, you were just saying something about were you reading one of the comments?
No, the next story actually has something to do about figures. So
oh no, but I apologize. I think we were talking over each other.
Okay.
So
wait, what are you talking about then?
No, because I was still scrolling through this MD Bright story, like looking at all of his stuff.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, it's about Icon and Rocket. You see some Green Lantern stuff that's going on. I'm just kind of scrolling through. Of course, Quantum and Woody is right there. I thought didn't he also do some Black Panther stuff? Or am I tripping?
Yeah, he did during Priest Black Panther run.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Some fill-ins.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But then this article does not have that in here. So, but nevertheless, oh wait, actually, did we see? Was it national causes or anything? Or do we say? It's just basically going through his history. Yeah, condolences to his family. It doesn't. I don't think it actually says. Yeah, doesn't say of what. I guess, unless it's in there somewhere. So there you go. Rest in peace. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Rest in peace. Listen, he's one of those artists that you may not have known by name until Quantum and Woody. I hate to say that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Until Quantum and Woody, he wasn't that like obvious, like, oh, I recognize that name.
Right.
But I hate to say this, thanks to something creator owned. You started, you saw the names like, oh wait, I have seen that credit before.
Right. Like I said, yeah, the couple of books that I was like, yeah, I absolutely collected this and that, and in addition to that Spider-Man Wolverine book is how I know him. But yeah, like Agent 7 said, it's like, yeah, you didn't really know him. No.
Right. I mean, you had seen his name, right? You'd seen his name associated with like the Milestone comics.
Right.
And as we said earlier, like stuff that we were reading when we were younger, but didn't necessarily associate his art style. Like I remember his art on that Iron Man book, but he was being inked by Layton, and Layton has a very distinct Iron Man style, and almost like his inking kind of not takes over, but definitely, has that shiny effect.
Right.
So, but anyway, I'm sorry to continue to dwell on this sad story, but MD Bright had a very strong presence in my comic book reading as a kid.
Same. Yeah, despite not knowing his name like that at the time. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, because it was before my time of really knowing who the creators were. Right. What's funny is that the article mentions he drew the last few issues of Thor before the Simonson run.
Right. So,
but that was before that he was still breaking in at the time. So
might want to double back to this Falcon miniseries because I remember reading it, but I don't remember anything going on in it. Anyway, so like I said, rest in peace.
Is it on Marvel Unlimited?
It should be. I'm going to check while you read this next article.
All right. Deadpool and Wolverine Marvel Legends Legacy figures launch for April Fool's Day. Oh, God. April Fool's Day. Right. So I did see this because they were announcing other new Marvel Legends. But yes, there are now up for pre-order Deadpool Deadpool Marvel Legends figures for the new movie of Wolverine and Deadpool. So,
if you're watching the video version, you can see said images. There you go. There you go. And apparently, yeah. So it is the Falcon miniseries is on Marvel Unlimited, and that was Priest who wrote it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember, for whatever reason, I remember that Priest wrote it. I didn't remember that MD Bright drew it.
Actually, Bright did the last 3 issues, and who was on this first one? Oops, Paul Smith. Okay, yeah, Paul Smith did the first one, and Bright did the rest.
Gotcha.
So yeah, next up, new Hasbro Marvel Legends Iron Man retro card back Wondercon 2024 images have been snapped pictures of, including a She-Hulk that has been added. So if you're watching the video version, you can see the aforementioned Deadpool and Wolverine images also in there, but you also can see the Iron Man line that consists of what's that? This looks like 2020.
No. So check this out. So I actually have looked into this news. There are probably articles that tell you which suits these are. So here's the quick breakdown, right? So there's Count Nefaria, right? Who I'm probably gunning for several figures in this wave, right? The Count Nefaria is awesome. The Whiplash, the comic book Whiplash, holy cow, that's really cool. And this Mark 1 Iron Man with the gold paint, that's just a repaint. But you know what? That's like, he was gray for a very short time in actual comic book time. This is the Mark 9 armor on the left. That is with the big boots and whatnot. And I forget which Mark this is. Model. This is model. Yeah, this is model 20. Right. So this is the Avengers disassembled era armor. Right. And the She-Hulk is definitely something I'm going to try to cop because it's got pinless. It's a pinless figure, and it's the purple bodysuit that we all know, bathing suit we all know.
Was that around Extremis, or am I tripping? The Mark 2, the Model 20.
No, this is my time. My memory of Iron Man is a little faulty. I want to say it's after Extremis. Okay. Because this armor, the look is very much influenced by Extremis. Right. But this is around the disassembled area, like when Bendis takes over.
Right. And we're shows that, and there's a She-Hulk. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that She-Hulk figure also.
Whiplash, but that Count Nefaria, the Whiplash, get out of here, man. I never thought I'd see a Whiplash like that. That's pretty cool.
Showing pictures, there's the Whiplash, and there's the Nefaria, and there you go. Next up is you.
Get your spinach ready with Mezco's new 112 collective Popeye. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. So Mezco Toys announces a 112 collective Popeye with realistic features, iconic spinach-loving sailor equipped with various accessories and hats, 2 interchangeable heads, and 6 pipes complement the detailed figure. It's available for pre-order at $95 with a release set for November 2024. Yeah, that's pretty realistic-ish. That's not what I was expecting, yo.
Right. Not the Robin Williams version, also. Right. Also, none of those pipes have spinach coming out of it. Exactly. Oh, then there's a couple of shots with the actual shots with the with Bluto figure, or is it Brutus? I don't know. They are interchangeable. I think it's Bluto.
Yeah, that's a little too realistic for me, for real.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Available. Did you say the pre-order number or price?
Yeah, $95.
Yeah. So next up, WonderCon, all up and through here. We got some G.I. Joe reveals. So official pics of the Cobra Ferret ATV and more, in addition to we got a Beachhead here, We got the I don't know why I'm calling it the Cobra Flipper, but that's not what it's called. We got the ATVs right there. I don't know who this character is. Let's see, it's Beachhead, Cobra Eel. That's what it is. No Serpent, and Cobra Ferret Scout with the ATV. There we go. So get it if you get it. Next up.
Transformers WonderCon 2024 Hasbro pre-order details. So Hasbro opened up pre-orders for several of their WonderCon 2024 Transformers reveals, and the collections include Transformers the movie Swoop, Bumblebee concept art Sunstreaker, War for Cybertron Sideswipe, and Bumblebee Shockwave. And pre-orders will be available starting. They're available now since April 4th. So get going, because the Marvel Legends lineup dropped on April 2nd. So get going, folks.
The Shockwave is a tank. Boo. And actually, we can kind of bypass a couple of these next articles because some of the stuff is in here, and I didn't see that. Like the next articles is some more pictures of the Swoop.
Yeah.
And the next one after that is actually they mentioned in here, which is the Transformers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover, and a reissue of the Transformers Ghostbusters figure, which I do have. But
humble brag.
The Transformers Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaborative party wallop pack. Okay, great. Let's see. It says the party wagon that turns into a vehicle. That turns into a transformer. It turns into a transformer that's like a turtle, actually. So let's see. It's 7 inches. Figure turns from robot mode to cartoon inspired party wagon alt mode, and it features series accurate deco and details from the classic 1987 cartoon. That's $50. And the reissue of the Ecto 1 Transformer called Ectotron is, I think, probably the same price of the re-release. So, cool. Next up, actually, no, this wasn't that. So yeah, this is still legit. So next up is the Ghostbusters figures.
Ghostbusters 3 3/4 inch Ecto 1 and figures from Hasbro. So this is like old school, like not old school, but our school G.I. Joe scale.
Right.
3 3/4 inches. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Comes with pack and all.
And an Ecto 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really cool. Because it's like the perfect scale for like your bookshelf.
Mm-hmm. Complete with Gurney and other accoutrements. So yeah. What's the price on these jobbies? June 8th, which is observed as Ghostbusters Day. All of this is coming out. Don't see a price though.
Yeah.
So,
but that's cool. They're working on it. But the thing is, the announcement is that they're working on this new scale,
right.
So they can put out an Ecto 1 that these characters can sit in. Like I said, it's literally our school G.I. Joe, not the old school, and not the 6-inch scale G.I. Joe.
Right. So we will probably when we get a price, you'll probably know because we'll probably report it on again closer to that time. Next up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, back to some comic book news.
All righty. Oh, is this me?
Yeah.
Hellboy's Mike Mignola just did a stunning Batman cover for a story that rectifies the Dark Knight's greatest mistake almost 40 years later. Okay. So Hellboy creator Mike Mignola is paying homage to his own DC legacy with a new cover for a Batman story set in a world where Jason Todd never died. Okay.
Sure.
So this is a question. So what if Jason Todd had lived in the original Batman Death in the Family story back in 1988? That question was partially answered in DC's recent faux facsimile printing of Batman 428 with an ending where Jason lives instead of dies.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're getting variant covers for Robin Lives #1, which pays homage to his own to Mignola's own covers for Batman 426 to 429, the issues in which the original Batman Death in the Family story was told. Okay.
Yep. Something that probably didn't need to happen. But hey, there you go, folks. DC kills an iconic, according to this article, but it's, Screen Rant, so it's hyperbole, Superman villain from the Richard Donner movies. Spoiler alert, folks, Ursa dies. But hey, a good part about it is that the actress who played Ursa is still alive and kicking and looking pretty good. So, because I have seen her on other things, but this is spoilers for Kneel Before Zod, issue 3, which I think either came out this week or last week. Which I was going to check that book out for some stupid reason, but I have not yet. Next up.
Okay, so apparently Metamorpho has been nerfed by DC, and he's allegedly a Justice League icon, because this is Screen Rant, officially downgrading Metamorpho to their original power set. So basically, I didn't realize that Metamorpho had gotten super overpowered, but now they've brought him back to his original transmutation power set, and he can replicate only the elements in the human body rather than unlimited.
Right, and this is from Batman Superman World's Finest, which normally I would be reading, but I did not catch the last issue or two for reasons. So, or I haven't gotten to them, I should say, and I can't remember when the last one came out. It was this week or last week. So we get a DC first look at Dark Knights of Steel. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Dark Knights of Steel expands with a new Elseworlds series. So apparently Deathstroke will lead a Dark Knights of Steel story called All Winter, which is a new installment of DC Elseworlds written by, according to this article, best-selling author Jay Kristoff. So yay. The book will also feature art by the newly exclusive DC artist Terzo. I idea who that is. Dark Knights of Steel All Winter is a 6-issue series that expands on Tom Taylor's popular medieval fantasy story, featuring DC superheroes in a world of sword and sorcery style setting. With DC revealing that Taylor will also provide backup stories for the series with artist Riccardo Federici. Yes. So, and then it goes on to talk about what the tale is about. But if you don't know what's going on in Dark Knights of Steel, it kind of doesn't matter. July 17th is when it's going to pop out. Next up.
Alrighty. So Scott Dunbier, who was, who we knew as a big player at IDW, is now leaving, and his last day will be this past Friday.
Right.
Ending his 16-year tenure. Known for creating the artist editions, Dunbier's work has kept IDW profitable. Dunbier's significant contributions include pioneering the Absolute Edition at DC. After a respected career at Wildstorm and IDW, there's anticipation building for Dunbier's next move. Listen, I was very happy that Dunbier worked on creating those artist editions, because I've got a few of them and they are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a fan of looking at art in its original, if you're a fan of looking at art in its pencil and ink form, without colors, without any other embellishments, those artist editions are top notch.
Right.
I've got the Simonson ones and I've got the Jim Lee one, and those are some of my favorite things to own.
Mm. According to this article, apparently he was an art dealer before coming into the comic book world, publishing comics with Wildstorm.
Right.
Where he was an editor-in-chief, and it kind of goes on from there. So interesting. I did not know that. There was another IDW-centric story from this same site that I was going to put in, but it didn't seem like I'm not. It's questionable whether it's actual news or not. So I opted against that. But nevertheless, because I don't, and also the site I don't really care too much about in certain cases. They might be trying to get better, but who knows? Last but not least, from the Star Trek, I put this in here because at the time that I put this in here, I thought that those 2 death stories were the last one, so I kind of wanted to lighten it up a little bit.
Right.
So a little behind the scenes, but Todd Stashwick of Star Trek Picard, that one episode of Leverage and a few other things that he's done, is doing a charity D&D game, and he's got some notable folks along for the ride, such as Jonathan Frakes, Michelle Hurd, and Will Wheaton and Deborah Ann Wall. Now, yes, most of those names you know of from Star Trek properties. Notably, Picard in one case, but also just in general. In a couple of those cases, actually. Actually, in all of those cases, now that I think about it, because I forgot Will Wheaton did show up for like 5 seconds in Picard. But anyway, and Deborah Ann Wall, of course, Daredevil in True Blood. So yeah, they're doing let's see, this Todd Stashwick's Nerd Circus hosts D&D game with those people, and apparently, I guess, 12 Monkeys. That's where Stashwick was from. That's right. I forgot about that because I know we were talking about that when Picard came out. But yeah, there were also other notable folks that have come along for the ride with some of his D&D stuff. So yeah, that's cool. He's just an asshole from Chicago, or whatever he said in Picard, whatever his character said in Picard. But that's cool. Does it say here? Let's see. His latest from his Nerd Circus is partnering again with the Pavlov Foundation, the nonprofit pediatric cancer foundation, for a D&D charity live stream event called Legends of Eleonora, Zephyr Against the Mist. There we go. And I already told the names of who's participating in that. That live stream will be April 20th. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, I'm sure, it'll be on, it says it'll be on Twitch. And you can check out the article for the particulars for that stuff. And that, folks, is it for the news and they're in the show. Can we get one last ad read?
Folks, we've been on for a long time tonight. You know what we do when we're trying to wrap up. Help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends, which I do have a toy corner thing very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. Oh, where you are. That helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, I will give you the shot here and go for it.
Sure. Just wrapping up very quickly. In terms of Toy Corner this week, my pre-ordered Angel Marvel Legends came in. See it right here. And, bottom line is these wings are pretty cool. It is the red and white and gold halo angel costume that we have here. Classic. And it's the angel costume that we've really seen during his Defenders run, his Champions run, parts of his X-Men run. But, at the end of the day, this is probably the costume that we've seen Warren Worthington in this and the blue and white before he became Archangel.
Yeah, I was about to say, was it that one or was it the blue and white he was in when he got impaled?
Red and white, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Red and white. I'm pretty sure it was red and white. If you go back to I want to say it's an X-Men cover and a Thor cover. Both depict him on the cover being impaled, and I think it's the red and white costume.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, hey, you too can now do that as a diorama if you want to.
That's awful. Yeah, we don't have that particular Marauder harpoon.
Right. Wait, was it? Yeah,
it was harpoon.
Yeah. So
look at that, man. Look at that. Digging out, going into the Rolodex, the archives in the brain right there.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sometimes it works out.
Crazy, man. All right, it's late, folks.
Yes, and with that, folks, we are going to end this here show because I got to get up early, so this is probably not gonna get dealt with tonight. But folks, this has been the Comic Chronicles. We appreciate you. I think we will be back. I will do the spiel, but I wanted to make sure you get this out of the way first. We are back at our normal time this coming Thursday, correct?
That's my understanding because my game schedule has not come out yet for this.
Right.
I don't have any games this week, so
right. So that being said, folks, you can look out for us there unless something else happens, which hey, lifes. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me using the Nito Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Network, and all the Zone Brother sites they're in. And Tim DOGG98, who you've seen a couple of articles from during the course of the show. You can find him at Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. You can find him at CB Chron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. I was about to say something else about it. I probably shouldn't. The Kliq Nation on Twitter, thekliqnation.com. But also, most importantly, you can find him over at comicbook.com, where he's over there writing his face off.
Writing his face off!
Again, as you have seen, Timothy Adams, go check out his stuff. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network.cspn.us.
Do it today!
You could also find us on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. It really does matter there.
For sure, dude. You can, again, like I said, we'll be back this Thursday on our regular times, which means that we will be recording 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles, and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/thekliqnation. And of course, the audio comes out after the fact, a couple of days, a day or two after the fact. And this one will probably be out on a Monday or a Tuesday. We shall see. If you're hearing this after the fact, hey, congratulations. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One. Wakanda forever!